Hey, everybody. All right, this is American Nana. I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I mean, I am filming this in bits and pieces. That's just the way my life is, bits and pieces. So, um, this is actually the start of day two. Now, I cut past all the discussion. There wasn't a lot of discussion, but there was a lot of, oh,
Okay,
Bree needs a few
everybody can be seated.
moments. Um, I was just getting up to where the judge will actually call the jury in, I believe, because they've had some sidebars and they've had some discussions with the Miss Bree, and so we're just going to start where it basically starts. You didn't miss anything in the morning discussion of an hour. So here we go. I hope everybody is doing great today.
Judge, I'm sorry, real quick. I think we've covered it before, but just for Mr. Barnes, typically the way I do experts, I go through sort of my background questions, and then, I'll ask if the defense have any questions, because obviously the court is not supposed to make a ruling. This person is an expert.
Correct.
So rather than ask for a ruling from the court, once I'm done with my sort of predicate
You'll
background
ask if they want
questions.
to voir dire the witness.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Fine, Judge.
and then if there's either when they're done or there's no questions, then I'll simply move into my questions without the court making that determination.
Okay. All right.
Are we good, sir?
Yes.
All rise for the jury, please.
My grandbaby's over here watching iPad.
Okay, everybody can be seated. All right, members of the jury, before we get started today, I need to ask whether or not any of you have received any information about this case, seen anything on the internet about this case, had anybody try to talk to you about this case since we last saw each other yesterday? Okay, all the jurors are shaking their heads no. Also, again, let me remind you that you cannot discuss this case with anybody. And again, do not use social media, the internet, anything else to get any information about this case or the people and places involved. Everything you will need to decide this case will occur here in the courtroom. Also, I'm going to give you an additional instruction. If you happen to have a question and need to communicate with me, send a note to court security. Any questions that you have can only be submitted after you begin deliberations. And so if you have a question, during that time, I will talk with the attorneys before I answer. I will answer any questions if I can in writing or orally here in open court. So I want to go ahead and give you that instruction at this time. And with that, Mr. Alderman, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may call your next witness.
David, call Dr. Oleski.
Okay, let me just say the person that actually performed the autopsy sadly was killed, I believe, in an automobile accident. So the person that actually performed it is no longer alive, and therefore someone else will be going over the autopsy.
That man, raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right, man, have a seat in the chair. Hold the chair as close to the microphone as you can and speak loud enough into the microphone so that everybody can hear you. Mr. Alderman, you may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Sure. My name is Dr. Deanna Oleski, Oleske.
And how are you presently employed?
I'm the Chief Medical Examiner in District 1.
And can you describe your basic duties as Chief Medical Examiner?
In addition to my administrative duties, I perform my regular medical examiner duties, which include doing autopsies, preparing autopsy reports, and giving expert testimony.
And what area does your office cover?
My office covers 4 counties, Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton counties.
And how many people do you have under your supervision at the medical examiner's office?
I have a team of 30 employees and 5 doctors.
And do you know how many autopsies your office performs every year?
Approximately 1,800 to 2,000.
And how many of those do you typically perform personally?
About 200 to 250.
Every year?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been at the District 1 Medical Examiner's office?
Since November of 2020.
You've been the chief that entire time?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you employed prior to that?
I was the associate medical examiner in St. Johns County in District 23 in St. Augustine for about 3.5 years. And
what were your duties there in St. Johns County?
As an associate medical examiner, I did the same things I did here with less responsibility, doing autopsies, creating autopsy reports, and giving expert testimony.
And what is your educational background?
I did 13 years of school to become a forensic pathologist. I started with a 4-year undergraduate degree at Indiana University. Following completion of that, I successfully matriculated into medical school in Detroit, Michigan at Wayne State. Following those 4 years, I became a medical doctor. I obtained my Texas medical license, and I went to residency training in anatomic pathology at the University of Texas in Houston. This is the core basis of a subspecialty that studies the diseases of tissues in a hospital. Following 4 years of that subspecialty training, I did a 1-year fellowship at the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, which is also in Houston, Texas. And that's where I completed my forensic pathology fellowship. So 13 years.
Yes, ma'am. And where are you licensed to practice medicine?
Here in the state of Florida currently.
And are you board certified in any areas?
I am duly board certified in both anatomic and forensic pathology.
I'm familiar with Dr. Leskey's resume. We have no objection to go forward at this time.
All right, Mr. Alburn, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. Dr. Leskey, I want to talk to you about was there an autopsy performed by your office on September 10th of 2021?
Yes.
And who was the subject of that autopsy?
The decedent's name was Colin J. Turner.
And who performed that autopsy?
That was Associate Medical Examiner Dr. Timothy J. Gallagher.
And does your office, the medical examiner's office, maintain a file for every autopsy that is performed?
Yes.
And is that file kept in the ordinary course of the medical examiner's business?
Yes.
And you have access to that file?
Yes.
And did you review that file?
I did.
And what exactly did you review in terms of that autopsy?
I reviewed the autopsy report, the autopsy photographs, the radiographs or x-rays, the toxicology report, handwritten notes or body diagrams that Dr. Gallagher had produced, and chain of custody, I think, and the investigator's report too. Everything basically that was in the file.
And those items that you reviewed, did they provide you with the information necessary to form your own opinion as to the cause and manner of death for Mr. Colin Turner?
Yes.
Were there any external injuries observed to Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And can you describe the standard procedure when an autopsy is performed?
Sure. When our office is notified of a death that is non-natural, we assume jurisdiction of that body and custody of that body. When they come into the autopsy suite, we first take photographs as they were received to us. So whatever they were wearing, if they were wearing clothing or if it was cut clothing. And then we go through and we see if there's any defects in the clothing that may correspond to injuries on the body. We take and collect evidence if necessary or assist law enforcement in doing so at that time. Following that, we take, quote, dirty photographs of any of the wounds, again, to show as they were originally. Then following that, we clean everybody up and we reshoot the photographs and try to make them as clean as possible so it's clear where the injuries are.
And for Mr. Colin Turner, what was the cause of those external injuries?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Now, the gunshots that Mr. Colin Turner suffered, are you able to determine what order the wounds occurred in chronologically?
I cannot.
Are you able to determine whether all the wounds were inflicted at approximately the same time?
I believe that they were.
Can you describe the first injury?
Sure. The first injury was a gunshot wound of the left upper posterior torso, which is over left upper back, which goes through the muscles of the back, the sixth and seventh cervical vertebra of your neck, and then the musculature in the skin over the right lateral neck, where it does where it exits and then re-enters.
And I'm going to
sorry,
pause
go
you right there. You mentioned the entrance wound in the posterior torso, correct?
Yes.
Judge, if you could activate the screen for me. And Dr. Oleski, here in States Exhibit 76, at the top right of the screen there, is that the wound you're describing to the posterior torso?
So yes, where that L-shaped ruler and the yellow circle number 5 is where the first injury that I'm describing is located.
So the number 5 does not correlate to the, again, the chronology of the wounds. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you described that as an entrance wound. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And how are you able to determine if that is an entrance wound?
So entrance wounds are characteristically circular, look like a punched out hole, and they have a collar around them called the margin of abrasion, which is caused by as the projectile is literally scraping the skin as it's boring into the body.
And what was the direction of that gunshot wound there?
This direction of this projectile gunshot wound was from back to front, left to right, and upward.
And was there an exit wound associated with this gunshot wound?
Yes,
Where was the exit wound?
over the right lateral neck.
And States Exhibit 80, what are we looking at, States Exhibit 80?
So we are looking at the right side of Mr. Turner's cheek and neck, and this is a corresponding gunshot exit wound.
And was there a re-entry wound associated with this gunshot?
Yes,
And where was the re-entry wound?
the re-entry wound was over the right wrist.
And States Exhibit 82, is that the injury you just described?
Yes.
Was there an exit wound for that? Was there an exit for that wound?
No, there was an associated projectile.
And States Exhibit 4, is that the projectile you just mentioned?
Yes.
That was recovered from the autopsy?
Yes.
And what were the injuries caused by that gunshot and the various entrance and exit wounds?
So the associated injuries were fractures of the cervical vertebra, which is your neck, the right triquetrum bone, excuse me, TRIQUETRUM bone, the fracture of the right lunate bone, which is in the wrist, and hemorrhage along the wound track. So it injures the cervical spinal cord in his neck.
And is that all the injuries and areas of the body that were affected by that first gunshot?
Yes,
And again, when I say first gunshot, you don't know what order they occurred in, correct?
correct.
Did you observe injuries from a second gunshot?
Yes.
Okay, and where was the entrance wound for the second gunshot?
This one was labeled number 6, and it was over the left posterior torso or the left back.
And what are we looking at here in States Exhibit 87?
We are looking at a picture of Mr. Turner's left upper back. We can see 2 gunshot wounds, one which I just described over the right side of the photo, and number 6, which is the one that I am currently describing.
And that is an entrance wound?
Yes.
And what was the path of the projectile?
This projectile went through the soft tissues of the back, through the left 6th rib, the lung, the left 2nd rib, the underlying musculature of the left upper chest, and the subcutaneous skin and tissues of the left chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
That projectile was back to front, left to right, and upward.
And was there an exit wound associated with that injury
Yes,
or gunshot?
yes, and that was over the left upper chest.
And what are we looking at in States Exhibit 91?
This is the corresponding gunshot wound with a number 2 associated with it. It is an exit wound. It is has small tears around the surrounding skin and can be easily reapproximated.
And what were the injuries associated with that gunshot?
The injuries associated with this gunshot wound include fractures of the left-sided ribs, injuries and perforation to the left lung, a left side hemothorax, which is a collection of blood in the chest.
And did you observe, or was there a third gunshot wound that was observed to Mr. Turner?
Yes, there's another gunshot entrance wound on the posterior right torso, labeled number 7.
And is that what you're describing in State's Exhibit 92?
Yes.
And is that an entrance wound, correct?
So again, this is a circular wound that is punched out with a thin layer of red abrasion collar surrounding the skin, and this is very characteristic of a gunshot entrance wound. Yes.
And what was the path of that projectile?
The path of this projectile perforates the skin and soft tissues of the right posterior back, the right side, right posterior ribs, the right lung, the sternum, and the skin and soft tissues of the chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
Back to front, right to left, but this one is without significant upward or downward deviation. So
Was there
horizontal.
Was there an exit wound associated with this gunshot?
Yes,
And where was the exit wound?
the center of the chest.
And what are we looking at, State's Exhibit 97?
We're looking at the center of the chest exit wound that's labeled in a circle with the number 3. It's a slit-like exit wound where the edges can be reapproximated, and this is what corresponds to the wound track.
And what were the injuries associated with that third gunshot?
The injuries associated with this include the fractures of the right-sided ribs, injury to the right lung, a right-sided hemothorax or collection of blood in the right side of the chest cavity.
And was there a fourth gunshot that was observed?
Yes.
Where was the entrance wound for that fourth gunshot?
This was over the lower left posterior torso and was labeled number 8.
And is that what we're looking at, State's Exhibit 98?
Yes, over the top left side of the image.
And again, you described that as an entrance wound, is that correct?
Yes, this is a circular punched out wound with a thin collar of marginal abrasion surrounding it.
And what was the path of that projectile?
This projectile goes through the skin soft tissues of the left, lower left posterior torso, strikes and perforates the spleen, the left-sided hemidiaphragm, the pericardium, which is this tough tissue that surrounds the heart, sternum, and then the subcutaneous soft tissues of the chest.
And what was the direction of that projectile?
This was back to front, left to right, and upwards.
And was there an exit associated with this gunshot wound?
No, projectile was.
And what are we looking at there in State's Exhibit 101?
We are looking at a picture of a radiograph or chest x-ray, and you can see a round projectile, which appears white or whiter than black, and looks like it's right above the heart.
And was that projectile recovered?
Yes.
And is that what we're looking at there for the record, State's Exhibit 103?
Yes.
And that fourth gunshot that you just described, what were the injuries associated with the fourth gunshot?
The injuries included a hemopericardium, which means that there was blood within the pericardial sac that surrounds the heart, a fracture of the sternum, and injuries to the spleen.
And Dr. Oleski, in your career as a medical examiner, you've had many occasions to observe gunshot wounds. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how many times you've observed gunshot wounds in determining exit versus entrance wounds?
I'd say out of the 2,000 cases or autopsies I perform, a solid 30% are gunshot related cases. So yes, I'm very comfortable determining entrance versus exit.
Dr. Lesky, can you give us, are you able to determine after these gunshots were afflicted, how long would Mr. Turner remain alive, in your opinion?
Several minutes. The injury to the heart takes as long as it takes until your blood, there's so much blood around your heart that it can no longer effectively pump. So not more than a couple of minutes.
That gunshot wound by itself, which I believe was the fourth gunshot we described, in your opinion, would that have been a fatal wound in and of itself?
Oh, yes.
Would any of the other gunshot wounds, in your opinion, been fatal in and of themselves?
I believe all of the gunshot wounds are fatal within themselves if not given enough time, but the last one was certainly the quickest.
Excuse me. Was there any clothing that was recovered from the autopsy for Mr. Turner?
Yes.
And were there any defects that were observed to that clothing?
Yes.
And does those correspond to the wounds that you have just described?
Yes.
And what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 107?
We are looking at the back of the tank top that Mr. Turner was wearing, and we can see 4 circular defects over the left upper, the right upper, and mid to lower back of the shirt that are circular.
Doctor, you can, I'm sorry, Judge, you can blank the screen. Thanks, sir.
Judge, controlling that screen right there.
Dr. Orlowski, is it standard procedure to perform toxicology during autopsies?
Yes.
And you're not a toxicologist, is that fair to say?
I am not a toxicologist.
But you are aware of the results of any toxicology that is performed as it comes back to your office, is that?
Yes,
And you have the report in front of you, is that correct?
I do.
And so for Mr. Turner, was there anything that came back in Mr. Turner's blood?
Yes, he had one positive finding for amphetamine.
And what was the listed source of that amphetamine?
The source was chest cavity blood.
And do you know what is listed as the source of the amphetamine?
Oh, so you're asking where did that amphetamine come from?
Yes.
Okay, so no, I don't know if that's I don't know if that was obtained through a prescription or if this is the result of metabolizing out another drug, and that's what all that's left is in his body.
What is listed in the autopsy report as, the toxicology report there as the source of the amphetamine? Is there a prescription drug that is listed associated with it?
So amphetamine can be found in Adderall or Dexedrine.
And those are prescription drugs, is that correct?
Yes.
Dr. Olesky, based on everything that you have viewed and the examination of Mr. Turner and your experience, were you able to determine the cause of death for Mr. Colin Turner?
Yes.
What was the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
And what was the manner of Colin's death?
Homicide.
Well, thank you, Dr. Olesky.
All right, Mr. Etheridge, cross-examination.
Morning, Dr. Leslie. How you doing?
Good morning. Good. How are you, sir?
Good seeing you again. Dr. Timothy Gallagher did the original autopsy, right?
That's correct.
And unfortunately, he was in an automobile accident and he died unexpectedly.
Yes.
And that's why you had to come in. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, he did his autopsy back September 10th, 2021. When did you start your review of Dr. Gallagher's autopsy report? When did you actually do that?
I believe he died in, I want to say around September or October of 23.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was given a list of cases that were coming to trial. And I believe that I first started to review this case and all the other ones around the same time, November of 23.
So about 2 years, a little over 2 years from the time of the original autopsy.
Yeah, yes.
And you and the other medical examiners kind of divvied up the cases that Dr. Gallagher had done.
Yes, we divided and randomly assigned.
Okay. All right. Um, And obviously you didn't perform the original autopsy, correct?
That's correct.
And I believe you answered the prosecutor's question by saying there's no way you can tell the sequence of the gunshots, right?
That's correct.
And you can't tell this jury whether those gunshots were fired in self-defense or not, can you?
No.
And I believe you testified earlier that any one of these gunshots would have produced death. They were serious, correct?
Correct.
Now, and I believe you've also answered the prosecutor's question that the toxicology report revealed amphetamine in the decedent's system, right?
Yes.
Were you aware, did you become aware at some time that the decedent, before his death, had suffered a traumatic brain injury?
I believe you may have asked me that during a deposition about whether or not I could, whether or not I would have been able to assess that.
Yeah, and that was my next follow-up question. You wouldn't be able to determine just based on Dr. Gallagher's notes and the toxicologist's notes and your photographs whether you had organic brain trauma, could you?
No, that's correct.
And probably more likely than not, it would take a neuropathologist to figure that out.
Yes, from the get-go.
Okay. That's beyond your expertise, right?
Neuropathology is not my favorite.
Okay.
So I hope Moana in the background's not too loud for you guys, but we've put that on. Hopefully it's not too loud. So is he trying to insinuate that the military discharged this gentleman 100% disability and did not have a traumatic brain injury? That's my question to you, sir. Is that what you're insinuating? I mean, I'm just saying, like, if I was on your jury, um, that really was uh, uh, I don't even have the terminology. He was discharged from the Marine Corps 100% disabled due to a traumatic brain injury. So after Bree kills him, you're going to try to figure out whether or not he did have the brain injury? Wow. You know, if you were to prove he did not, then the government would be like, wow, we've been paying this man for what, 2 years for nothing? I mean, mister, where are you going here? Where are you going? Because in everything that we've seen with this gentleman, he was calm, level-headed. I'm just saying is all.
Now, Dr. Gallagher's report and your review of that showed you that when they found the decedent, he was laying down face up, correct?
I can't recall looking at the scene photo. Sorry.
But your opinion today that he was shot in the back, right?
Yes.
They found him. Okay. But you don't know right now, you can't tell the jury, you don't know whether he was found laying on his back or laying on his stomach, can you?
No.
Okay. And nothing in your autopsy review would have shown that?
No.
You didn't see any crime scene photos or anything like that to see what position his body was in when they found him?
No.
Were you aware whether he'd been moved or not?
No.
And as I think you testified this as well today, you relied on Dr. Gallagher's report, toxicologist, and the photos, right?
The autopsy photos, the X-ray, and the chain of custody.
Thank you. Would you agree with me, and you tell me you're the expert, not me, but it would be preferable if you did the autopsy yourself. You had the ability to touch, to feel, to examine, to see up close and personal the decedent, rather than relying on photographs and reports from another doctor from a couple of years ago.
It is definitely harder to testify on a case of which I did not personally do.
And of course, deeply unfortunate accident to Dr. Gallagher that was way beyond your control. Now, in examining the photographs, specifically of the decedent's arms, did you see any indication whatsoever, any bruising, lacerations, any injuries whatsoever other than the exit wound, I think, which came out of the wrist. Was there anything on there which showed his arms were broken or they were hurt in any way?
Other than the re-entrance to his right wrist, I do not recall of any other injuries on his arms.
So, because of the fact that call-in told 911 she tried to break his right arm, I believe he said right arm, or just arm. She tried to break his arm. This attorney, let me help you out here, sir, because a man that size with a wife the size she is saying she tried to break my arm, picture this in your mind. I'm angry at you and I'm telling you I want to break your arm and then I'm pulling on your arm. I mean, that would be rather comical at my size compared to his size. You could even say that she could wrap both of her hands around one of his arms and, like, just hang there, drop her feet. I mean, granted, he could move his arm to where she fell, but pulling doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be some form of physical proof that it happened. Um, I think that you're trying your very best to make your client look like this sweet little innocent little thing, but to those that are watching, that is my takeaway from this. That the more that you try to prove that Bree was not trying to break his arm is just, I don't know, offensive in a way because she didn't break his arm, because they didn't find a broken arm and they found no bruises, then you're insinuating that Colin was lying that she was trying to break his arm. So if she said, I want to break your arm, and he pulled on it, and he tells the 911 operator she tried to break my arm, sir, that is in fact a true statement. You know, I mean, you're not dealing with a young lady that was sitting there just fully in control of her behavior, apparently. Well, she was pretty good. She played a pretty good game, and you're trying to help her play it too. So, I mean, the bottom line is she didn't want him to take her children to his parents. That's what made her mad.
Nothing to suggest his arms were being broken or anything like that, right?
Only thing that was broken was related to that
The
projectile.
wound coming out.
Mhm.
Those are my questions. Thank you. Good seeing you, doctor.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Judge. Dr. Oleski, the position somebody is found in, whether face up or face down, is that determinative of where the entrance wounds in the body are?
No.
If somebody is shot in the back, could they be found face down?
Yes.
Could they be found face up?
Correct.
Could they be found on the side?
Yep.
Okay. It doesn't change the entrance wounds, correct?
No.
Okay. And in your review of everything you looked at in your examination of these photographs that we have looked at, is there any doubt in your mind whatsoever the wounds in Mr. Turner's back are entrance wounds?
I have no doubt whatsoever.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, can this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
No objection, Madam Defense, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you may step down. You're now excused.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Alderman, you want to go and call your next witness?
I can. I don't know if you want to discuss scheduling and all this. This next witness will be a little longer, so I don't know if anybody needed a break.
Does anybody need a break or anything from the jury? Is everybody good? Everybody good? Okay. All right.
So they would call Detective David Rowell.
So it's kind of hard to claim self-defense when all four shots were in the man's back, in my opinion. I mean, I think that as this goes on, you find that your client's story doesn't make any sense
All right, sir, raise your right hand.
at
You
all.
swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am. All right, sir, if you'll have a seat in the chair, pull the chair as close to the microphone as you can, speak loud enough into the microphone so that everybody can hear you, okay? Mr. Alderman?
Thanks, sir. Sir, would you please state your name, spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, David Rowell, Rowell.
Where are you employed?
Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
Almost 10 years.
And what are your present duties with the Sheriff's Office?
I am a detective for the Major Crimes Unit.
And can you describe to the jury your basic duties as a detective?
So we investigate most violent crimes, homicides, sexual batteries, internet crimes against children. We get cases forwarded to us from patrol, and we assume investigation.
And approximately how many detectives are there in the Major Crimes Unit?
I think we're at 7 or 8 right now.
And when a homicide comes in, is somebody typically assigned as the lead investigator on that case?
Yes, sir.
And how many other detectives typically work on the homicide cases that come in?
So most homicide cases that we work, it's usually a unit involvement. Usually everybody in the unit's working it.
And are you familiar with the investigation into the death of Mr. Colin Turner?
Yes, sir.
And who was the lead investigator on that case?
That would be me, sir.
Now, on September 8th of 2021, did you go to the scene at all at Jenks Drive?
Initially, yes, sir. I received a phone call from my sergeant explaining to me what happened. So that evening, I went down to the scene. I was briefed by Major Bringmans of what they had so far at that point. At that time, Ms. Kuhn was in the backseat of a marked patrol vehicle. I had asked her if she would like to provide a statement at the Major Crimes Office, which is in Milton, which she stated she would.
And was she then transported to the office?
Yes, sir, by Deputy Loha.
And did you speak with her there at the Major Crimes Unit?
Yes, sir. Myself and Detective Kelly both spoke with her.
Okay, where did that interview take place?
At the interview room at the Major Crimes Office. That's both audio and video recorded.
And so this is that same evening, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And have you reviewed a copy of the recording of that interview?
Yes, sir.
And was that a fair and accurate copy of your interview with Ms. Kuhn on that evening?
Yes, sir.
You know, this time I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 109.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, State's Exhibit 109 will be admitted.
Detective Rao, after your interview with Ms. Kuhn, did you attend the autopsy in this case?
Yes, sir. I believe that was the next day.
And is that standard procedure?
Yes, sir. Yeah, whoever's most of the time, whoever lead detective is attends the autopsy. If for some reason we can't make it, another detective is designated to attend.
Were any cell phones taken into evidence in this case?
Yes, sir. I believe both Miss Coons and Miss and Collins.
And did you review any material on those phones?
I reviewed a one cell phone video from Miss Coons' cell phone.
And do you know when that cell phone video was recorded?
So it was the day that the incident happened, 12 with UTC time. It was about 12:57 is when the cell phone video was created.
And you viewed that recording on Ms. Kuhn's phone, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You know, this time I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 113.
Any objection?
No objection.
State's Exhibit 113 will be admitted.
You know, this time I'd move to publish 113.
Okay. Just tell me when you're ready for me to
Yes, sir.
open it up.
I'm ready, Judge.
JP? JP? JP, what's wrong, baby? Hey! Hey! Come here! Come here! What's wrong? What? What did Daddy do? It's okay. Hey!
Okay, so she's got her phone on her. She's running. JP, that's the little firecracker. And he's crying. So she runs up, and what does she say? What did Daddy do? What did Daddy do? Tell me we're not playing games without telling me we're playing games. I mean,
Hey! Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. Oh, hey, got you. Come on. You wanna watch?
And just brief, Detective, do you know when this, you said this was 12:57. Do you know when this was in relation to the 911 calls that were received that day?
So I believe this was after the first time patrol went to the residence. It was after the first call, before the second call.
No.
What's this?
It's the nickels in the machine.
Mommy, why were you crying? Why were you crying?
Sometimes people just get sad. Hey, JP, come here. Can we make JP feel better? Can we snuggle him with kisses? Hey, I got you. I got you. Only fixed it, right?
I have a present, baby.
What is that present? What is that? Is it a haircut?
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I didn't like the box.
I know. Yeah. Mwah.
So she just leaves her phone on record. That's what we're listening to. She's trying so hard to catch him doing something bad. It's not working. It's just not working. Bree.
What is it today? How about,
You hear TV in the background or something.
how about JP don't? No. How about fish?
Playing your children against the other spouse, against the other parent. It happens way too often.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite movies.
Way too often.
Oh, here, hold on. Oh, sweet. Deborah and Eric. Come on, guys, let's find something to eat.
Looking for my wallet.
This is what we're gonna do for the next week, is just walk around reporting each other and not talking.
Would you just start, you tell me where my stuff is.
I don't have your stuff. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
This is actually really fun. I've never just had You don't?
No. I think it's pretty good.
Oh, maybe. Is it too heavy?
You doing what?
I didn't like the round noises.
I know you didn't. That's okay. I don't know, buddy.
If you do know where my iPad is? For my wallet?
You're not gonna lie.
I should have kept it. A pencil on it. You know? Neither.
I know.
You know?
Uh-huh.
No, it's not over there.
Where did it go?
The wallet's in your truck. I took my two MXs out of it.
Where's it in my house?
Driver's side? Or you saw me. You were sitting in the passenger and I was in the driver. And I took the gold and the platinum American
The
Express.
black plastic thing? That's not my wallet. Right? Concerned about?
You're not.
You also took my North Carolina registration and insurance, so I'm glad you didn't get thrown.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. What are you doing with me?
Okay, I don't know about the rest of you, but who believes she did not take his license? Because I say she clearly did. She took everything from him so that he supposedly couldn't leave, or so she could stop him from leaving.
Can we seriously stop this and talk? Like, this is not good for the kids. Did you hear me?
Did hear you. I tried to talk to you a bunch.
No, you didn't. I tried to call you and text you.
No, like last night and then this morning.
Can we
I tried to
stop
talk to you.
this and talk? Like, this
What-
is
okay,
nuts.
I will listen.
No,
And you
this
know what
is,
you say.
this is
I may or
a
may
back
not.
and forth thing. I'm like, this is really what you want to do in front of the kids.
No, it's not. I don't
Okay,
want to talk to you
then
about
what are
it.
we doing?
I want you to leave the house or I can take. the
I
kids
want
to
you
work.
to leave the house.
I don't want you around you for these at all.
Okay, then leave.
I don't trust you with the kids.
I don't trust
This
you
is
with the
emotionally
kids.
unstable.
You're on disability for being emotionally unstable.
Or for joint pain.
Wait, that's it? Huh? 100% for joint pain?
JP, you better walk back. You're still gonna hear it.
Wow, she's really pouring it on. Oh, but you're on disability. Yes, he received a traumatic brain injury. He gets 100% disability, which means he also brings money into the home. You are not the only breadwinner. You may be the one that makes the most money, but you're not the only breadwinner. I'm assuming that his checks go into a joint account and you have access to all of that. So there's that.
Mr. Daddy.
Oh, you okay? Come on, bud.
Mama.
Thank you, Judge.
Whoop-de-doo, girl, whoop-de-doo. That's what I say. What's anybody else say? Was that enlightening? Just shows she
Detective
can be
Rao,
a
did you
class A, you
leave
know
the
what?
vicinity to speak with any witnesses? When I say vicinity, I mean Florida.
Yes, sir.
Where did you go?
I went to Pennsylvania to speak with Miss Kuhn's brother.
Do you know approximately when that occurred?
Not off the top of my head, I believe within 2 weeks of the actual call,
And did anybody else go with you?
Detective Kelly did.
And you spoke with Mr. Kuhn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And was that recorded?
Yes, sir.
Now, during your interview with Ms. Kuhn, were you aware of the 911 call before you started speaking with her?
Yes, sir.
I think you had previously said you had already been to the scene, is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I got the 911 call when I got to the scene.
And during the course of that interview, did she speak with anybody else besides law enforcement?
Before law enforcement showed up,
During that interview, while she's there in the interview room?
she spoke with her father.
Okay.
So within the interview room, we called her dad, let her speak to her dad on speakerphone, and we had stepped out.
Okay, I can't help but say this. This looks like a high school student to me. Literally.
And from the interview, what was the temperature like in that little interview room there?
Well, that particular evening, just Miss Kuhn was cold. So for that incident, we tried to make her as comfortable as possible. So we did have a little space heater that we moved in there,
Okay.
and had that going for the first 15-ish minutes of the interview.
During the course of that interview, were you able to understand everything that Ms. Kuhn said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she can be soft-spoken, is it, during that interview? Is that right?
Yes, sir. For the first 10 minutes of the interview, she was more soft-spoken. As the time rolled on, she got a little louder and maybe more comfortable. So.
Okay. And the microphones in that room, are there places that are better, where it's easier to pick up the sound than others in that room?
Yes, sir. Typically where the table's positioned in the interview room, we usually like the person being interviewed to sit at the table. However, for this incident, she had sat in a corner. Typically we don't do it like that, but at that point, we just wanted her as comfortable as possible.
So was she farther away from where the microphones were situated?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this time I would move to publish State's Exhibit 109.
Okay.
All right, if this is what I'm thinking about, it's going to be very, very loud because they put a space heater in there for the comfort of Bree. And I know the defense is going to make some kind of sarcasm or some kind of, derogatory marks about it, but the noise is to keep their client comfortable. So get over it, dude.
In my trunk.
Yeah, I think I got like a sweater or something else.
I think I'm probably going to fast forward it and just stop it when there's talking. As I say, it is loud. There's nothing anybody can do about that.
The only thing I'm gonna say one thing, and that is, I've talked to a lot of people tonight. Okay, I feel like your voice is the most important. I want to give you the opportunity to kind of explain, or maybe give us a little bit of insight exactly what happened tonight. That's kind of why it's important for you being here. But due to the day and age that we live in, I'm going to go and read your rights. Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used again in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present while being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer will be appointed for you without cost before questioning. If you wish to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering questions at any time. Do you understand your rights?
I'm under arrest.
Yeah, I'm under arrest. You're just detained. There's a difference. You're not under arrest. Talking to you down there, you said that you would talk to me, answer some questions. So just kind of walk me through today. I know we got called out there a couple times. So just walk me through Bree's eyes.
I called the first time. We were arguing and Colin has my husband is he was threatening to take the kids.
Okay.
He said that since I had tried to kill myself, a couple months ago, that, Judge Laura would give me custody of children. And, he was packing.
You want to take your handcuffs off?
Yeah,
You want to come off? Okay, that's fine.
I didn't realize you had to leave or something, but she's reminding me of it.
Be a lot more comfortable.
he was and stuff. Just saying he's gonna take the kids and,
Today he was.
yeah, I told him, couldn't. This is in like our bedroom area. And he pushed me up against the doorway. And I was just trying to talk to him. And then I went to the bathroom. He threw me on the ground and said nobody would believe me because I was a crazy bitch. And so I called the police. And they came.
So she said he called her a crazy bee, which, you know, in all the times that she was filming him, we never heard him calling her any names. We did hear her berating him because of his disability status from the military. So that leaves, there's a question right there. Just, my opinion.
They couldn't do anything because I didn't have any marks on me. And there wasn't any witnesses. And he made a statement. He filled out something. And I got the kids' stuff out of his truck while he was doing that. And put it in my car. Because I was going to take him somewhere. It may be. I got the garage door opener out of his truck. And I think when they left, he was like on the phone with my command. So I closed the garage doors and I locked the door and took the batteries out of the lock so that he could come in and take the kids.
Okay, once again, everything she says is so he could not take the kids. So he could not take the kids. She was thinking very clearly how to do that. Locking him in places, removing the batteries. So, come on, guys. The entire thing is about him wanting to take the children.
I didn't want them. I didn't want them to see excited. Thank you. And then it was a couple hours later. My daughter, the kids were napping, and I was texting him and calling him because he was in the driveway. Like he wasn't leaving, but he was just in the driveway.
How long was he locked out of the house?
Maybe an hour.
Okay. Cool. So he wasn't leaving.
My kids, they're 4 and 3, and 3-year-old sometimes she wakes up from a nap like really confused. Just hysterical. If you can't console her. And it's usually hit or miss. On hope and console, but sometimes we end up just, they'll have her for a little bit and then get her to me. She's still screaming on her. I end up handing her back and forth a couple times. But she was still crying. So I took her out front. And he was still there. So I asked her if she wanted to cry. I gave her his hand. She was still crying. So I took her out front. And he was still there. So I asked her if she wanted to cry. I gave her his hand. And he would talk to me. I had texted him, just, saying like this is really the path that we want to do. Like this is just crazy that we're fighting for the kids. Yeah. I went out there and to go get her. They could see it called police this time. And he told them that I have mental health issues and that I'd be reasonable. And he doesn't trust me to leave alone with the kids. She wasn't correct. He just wanted to take them because I told him that I wanted a divorce. So he was just trying to take the kids. I have an appointment tomorrow and on Friday. It's divorce lawyer.
Never once has she said that she had told him she wanted a divorce. Never once. I don't believe. Yeah, I don't know. She might have lied once before to one of the other cops. But, the bottom line is, lady, I think every parent, whichever parent is not in possession of the child, is going to suffer. It's hard. It's hard. But what you do is you learn to come together for the better of your children. Because see, you don't matter anymore. It's your children. And you wanted that so badly. You wanted to have possession of your children so badly that you killed their father. Just because you didn't want to share them. See, lady, you're the kind of mother that would have killed your children rather than let your husband have custody of them too. So, whichever one you could do, you would have done it. And for what? It's not like you were the mother of the year. So why?
Winners. I just wanted to get divorced. and not fight for the kids. And not get from around. And then the police made me let him back in the house. And I was crying. The kids were crying. Can I talk to my dad?
It is a lot. So what happened after the law enforcement left the second time?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Which part?
After they left, when I know what I called my mom. He was in the garage again, and I locked him out. I locked him for some reason. I think to talk to him.
You locked him out for some reason, and that was the
Oh,
top.
I locked him out. He was in the garage. I locked him out.
Okay.
But he didn't. He's still in the garage. So open the door to talk to him. And he tried coming in, so I blocked the door and he kicked my foot. And was trying to push to go to the door. And I was trying to keep him out. I don't. And then I shot him. But he was still coming towards me. I don't think I shut the door and I went to get my kids. And I took them out of the house.
He was still coming towards me. Did she really just say that? He was still coming towards me. Shot in the back 4 times. And you're saying he was still coming towards you. Well, bless your little heart.
Around back to go to the neighbor's house. And I saw a kid riding his bike. And I stopped him. And I told him to call 911. And then I was banging on my neighbor's door, trying to get them to call 911. And to take the kids so I could go back and help him because I shot him.
How many times did you shoot him, please? Sure. So just to kind of.
I didn't mean to shoot him. It was at least twice I didn't mean to shoot him, but I did. And he said something and just the look on his face. So I was like,
What was the look on his face?
he was gonna kill me. And that's why I shot him.
Okay.
I know I heard that right. She just said that she saw the look on his face. And he asked, what was that look? And she said he was going to kill me. So that's when she shot him. Except his back was to her. And she would have no idea about the look on his face. Nor would she be able to tell us what that even looked like. look on his face that said he's going to kill me. Because if you know, you would only know that if he ever tried to kill you before. So, well, that's bullshit. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Where did you get the gun? And you said you came to the door. Did you already have the gun in your hands?
I think so.
You already had the gun in your hand when you came to the garage door? You think so?
I don't know.
Okay. This seems like it all happened pretty quick. I can definitely see that it all happened just very quickly.
He's dead. There's,
So
I went to go help him. I couldn't get in the front door because I had taken out the batteries from earlier. The garage door was closed, so I ran back around back. And opened the garage. He was, covered in blood. Screaming. Screaming. I couldn't open the garage door. To let like the neighbors in, and I did. I went over. I pulled it. I was able to open it. And I was. I tried to. He was.
I believe that you tried to help him.
Is
Okay?
he? Was he dead? Is he dead? They would tell me I think he was dead.
Yes, ma'am. He passed away. I know that all happened pretty quick. Okay, so you locked him in the garage. You came to the door.
I went to my dad, please.
Hang on a while, okay?
I
You gotta get
can't.
through this first. This is
I can't.
important.
No.
Where's the gun normally kept so we can go get it?
It was. It's in the kitchen. I put it in the kitchen.
Where's it normally kept?
In my closet.
Your closet.
Yeah, we have 3 guns.
Do you guys share a closet, or is it your closet and his closet?
We share a closet.
Okay.
How is it normally kept? There's kids in the house. I figured there was a way to keep it away.
Is the shotgun is the one that's out.
Is the handgun in a safe? Is it in its lockbox? Is it in its gun container?
No, it's just up high.
It's just up high.
Yeah.
Okay. So the kids can't get it. That's why it's up high. Okay. Why did you have the gun when you went to the garage door? Do you know?
I just wanted them to go. Why did they arrest him when they called the police? Why did they arrest him? I didn't want him dead.
So it's a police fault because they didn't arrest him. Right. No. I want everybody to remember this started the night before because she was mad because he didn't want to watch TV and she did. He didn't want her to put it on in the bedroom where the kids were sleeping and she did. Finally, what did he say about 2 a.m.? He turned the Wi-Fi off to that TV. Now she could have still gone in the living room and watched TV. But that made her mad enough that then she went and got his MacBook and put it in the washing machine. I mean, the dishwasher. And then she turned that on. But of course, she told her, command that he was lying. So, all that. and he said he wanted to take the kids and have a break. Do you blame him? Who could blame him? I'd want a break too.
I wasn't out there. I told them. Was he on the?
Where are my kids?
Where were your babies when after this?
Where are my babies now?
Where were they
I
at?
don't have a dad.
Where were
I
they
don't
at?
know. I'll go to jail. They don't.
Hey, Bree, where were your babies at when this went down?
They were in my room.
They were in your room? Okay. Do they normally hang out in there, or did you tell them to go to your room? You're not sure? Okay. You've got 2 small ones, and then you have a 12-year-old girl? Okay. Where was your 12-year-old at?
With them.
They were with them in your room?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd venture to guess that she put the 12-year-old girl in the room with the 2 little ones and told them, do not come out. I mean, she was pretty well pre-planned at that point, wouldn't you say? But I also want to say that just shows why your husband should have been worried if they were left in your care. You put those children in a room and then you walked out into the garage and unloaded 4 bullets in the man's back. What are you capable of doing to those children? What are you capable of doing in front of those children? Your babies. They were y'all's babies, still are y'all's babies, but all of this because he wanted to take a break.
Was he on the phone
Did
at
you
all?
guys call? Did you call it? My in-laws so they could come?
We'll take care of
We
it.
will take care of it. Okay, they're gonna be safe.
Oh. They're good.
Was he doing anything when you opened up the garage door? Was he talking on the phone? Or was he working on anything in the garage? What was he doing when you opened up the garage door?
Can I please? I just want to go down.
I know you do. I know.
I don't.
We'll get you a phone, but it is really important that we get everything out of you so we know how to make sense of everything, okay?
Doesn't make sense. My husband's dead. Why did they just? Why would they just?
The best that you can remember. Okay, when you opened up the door, what was your husband doing?
There's just so much blood.
I know.
I've never seen anybody dead.
Where was he standing when you were in the garage?
No, it's just so.
Was he close to you, far away?
You know, I'd be shook up too if I saw somebody dead. I'd be 10 times shook up if I was the one that shot him because I was angry. She should be scared of what she's capable of doing if she can't control herself. She should be real scared because obviously she can't control herself. Not. She got angry. She gonna make sure he paid.
He should have just let me kill myself once I knew.
Why do you say that?
Because then he would be dead.
Remember that statement. Remember that statement. He should have let her kill herself that particular day. Remember that statement.
I'm sure he didn't want you to do anything to yourself. Right?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to call it. I have to talk to my dad.
We'll get you a phone book. It's real important for us to understand your perception of what was going on with your husband.
Bree, you're the only
What's
one.
happening?
You're the only one that can provide these details for us.
Did you do?
Okay.
It's not gonna bring
I know. I know. Well, like I told you at the very beginning, okay, I think it's very important to give a voice. Okay, now's your chance to kind of tell us what happened from your point of view to kind of help explain the situation.
He doesn't have a voice. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe he was okay.
Did he have anything in his hand when you had to shoot him?
I can't do this. Oh.
Well,
Did he have anything in his hand?
I know it's very hard, okay, but you gotta be strong. If not for you, but for your babies. Okay, you gotta be strong. I know. You just gotta be strong. Bro, you're still a mother. Okay, you gotta be strong. Okay, you're the only one that can make light of this situation. You're the only one. Okay, if it was an accident, it was an accident. Okay, if things just got out of hand and it was a mistake, then that's what it is. But you gotta tell us something. Okay, if things just got out of hand and you made a mistake, you gotta tell us that. Okay, because we don't know what to believe otherwise. Okay, you're the only one that can provide us any sort of light. I don't think you're a bad person. Detective Kelly doesn't think you're a bad person. Nobody thinks that you're a bad person. Okay, sometimes we do things that we let things get out of hand. Okay, and we make mistakes. It's not the mistakes that define us. Okay, it's how we move on from those mistakes. Bree, you gotta listen to me when I tell you that. Okay, it's not the mistakes that define how we move on from those mistakes.
Go to jail. I need to talk to my dad. I need to talk to my
Let me
dad.
just ask the one quick question. Okay, why did it happen? Bree, just tell us why it happened. That's
Why did they just arrest him?
I don't know.
When? And then he called the cops again.
Why did it go
Where'd
down?
you
I had to do a phone call. Dial 9 and then you can dial it whatever long distance whatever you have to do. Okay.
I'll give you spots.
Can you lock it?
Yes. What time is it in New York right now?
10.
10.
And he just texted me though.
4, 5, 8,
Not sure.
6, 6, 4, 4, 5.
It's probably a number he doesn't understand. So let's just dial it one more time. Nine, 1, 8, 4, 5, 8, 6.
Hello?
Daddy.
Hey. Where are you?
I'm in an office. Daddy.
You're at the police?
Yeah.
You're at the police station?
Yeah.
All right. Whew.
I killed Kamala.
I know you did something. I know you did. I'm just trying to figure out why. Was he threatening you or? The kids okay?
No, they don't. Their dad is dead. And I'm belong in jail. I'm sure I'm going to jail. I think.
So are you in now or you're allowed, is this a phone call you're allowed?
Yeah, they said I could call you.
All right. Have you, obviously it's early, we haven't figured out what the course of action is, but are you gonna need a lawyer or are you gonna plead? Well, anyway, I'll ask you this later.
I don't know, Daddy. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you're not gonna know. I mean, this is a shock.
We had such a good weekend. He's my best friend.
Hold on, speak clearly. No, I'm happy to do
I know.
You have to what?
You said we had such a good weekend. He's
That's what I heard.
my best friend.
We had such a good weekend. He was my best friend. We had a good day. It was such a good day. We sat out back, drank some wine, had some cigarettes. It was a good day. That was Sarah Boone. And here is Bree. We had such a good weekend. It was such a good weekend. So, was it Sunday night that he wouldn't let you watch TV at 2 or 3 in the morning in the bedroom? Come on, girl. Come on. Come on, girl.
Parents said you guys had a great weekend, but for some reason, Colin started this thing last night with you. I mean, you obviously didn't put his computer in washer. We're clear on that, right?
He's dead.
He did, right?
He's dead.
You noticed she didn't answer him. Of course she put it in the dishwasher. And Colin didn't start anything last night. Sweet Pea did.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry. And Hardy's got Kylie. You knew that, of course.
Yes.
All right. And JP and Laney are with Child Protective Services, I guess?
I don't know.
You don't know?
They wouldn't
Okay.
tell me anything.
All right, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll start calling. Are you with the Sheriff's Department?
There was a deputy here.
Okay, because I've been trying to figure out, all the police numbers, they go straight to voicemail unless you call 911.
I think it's an attorney, district maybe, the district attorney, state.
Oh,
She thinks she's at the district attorney's office.
I'm gonna say he asked if I would come to his office and talk to him. And so the cop brought me here.
oh, so you're waiting to talk to somebody in their office?
I talked to them.
Oh, you did? Okay. What did you tell them? Yes.
I don't know, so I killed him.
Well,
I tried to, I tried to help him.
I tried to help him. I blew 4 shots right into his back, took the kids across the street, or gave them to the neighbor when the neighbor came over or whatever, and then I tried to save him. Yeah, right. How do you save somebody that you've shot to death already?
You tried to help them?
I got the kids out of the house and I went back and I tried to help him, but there was just blood everywhere.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where are, all right, I'll be able to find out the answers to these things tomorrow. We got to figure out, do you want us to come down there? Is there anything we can do? I know it's a little early to start figuring this stuff out because you're still in shock. I guess you were talking to Eric when this happened.
Is he okay?
He is. He's shook up though, as you can imagine, as we all are, not as much as you are, but everybody's just trying to sort it out, so. Just, just obviously you don't want to think about it, but you've already spoken to the district attorney, and what was just a question about what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a short conversation, or did you waive your right to an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think I need one though.
Well, you may or you may not, but yeah, typically people do in these cases. So it's been too early for any type of this stuff discussed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How did the district attorney conversation end?
I wanted to call you.
He let me call you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, are you going to continue talking to him, or that's the end of the discussion?
Not tonight.
You will talk tonight?
Not tonight, no.
Not tonight. Tomorrow, did you mention, or you just don't know?
No.
Okay. Do you know if Don and Teray know?
No, I don't know.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Keep crying, huh? Get it out. I mean, I gotta believe there was a reason it happened. Typically, don't go around shooting people without a reason. Are you threatening you, or were you in the middle of an argument? Eric seemed to think he sounded like Tom was mocking you at the time. But I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know either.
I need to go back to the hospital.
Eric, her brother, thought he was mocking her. Mm-hmm.
Are they taking you to the hospital?
I don't know.
All right, well, why do you need to go back to the hospital? Are you thinking of hurting yourself, or?
I don't know.
All right. I don't know either. And this isn't so, I really don't know what I'm going to be able to do. We just tried to be heard it. We couldn't believe it, of course, and then it became obvious that it was true. I'm sure there was a reason.
She was not
Are you
getting
in the
her
office
way.
right now?
I'm sorry. She was not getting her way, sir. She was not going to get her way. Do you understand? Somebody told her, no, ma'am. They said, no, 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 no. She don't take no. She calls the shots, sir.
Out by yourself, or you get in there?
I'm not gonna-
Can I, before we're done, and you're about to hang up,
Yeah.
did you see if the district attorney can talk to me, or has he already said he can't, or he's already left?
I'm in the room by myself.
Okay.
I can ask him. I'll knock on the door.
Well, we're done. Is there more to talk? You have to talk about it. I'm here.
Daddy.
Yeah, I know you don't. You don't, sweetie. Well, I don't have the answer for this one. This is a big deal.
I can't really feel my best friend.
You did.
My husband, father of my kids. I just fucked up everybody. I killed him. It's fucked up everybody else's life.
Where'd you say about it?
My dad. I wanted to know if you could talk to him.
Oh, okay.
Daddy, the guy's here.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you tomorrow if we don't.
So she'll be present. You're on. She'll be present.
Dad.
All right. All right. Well, I'm just trying to sort this out. I don't quite know where to go from there. So it sounds like you'll be seeing the jail staff later tonight. If you feel, I'm not trying to find any suggestions, but if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, you better point it out to somebody, all right?
Yes.
There's light at the end of this tunnel. It's difficult to see at this point. But we got to get through these first few hours so the shock can start to wear off and before you do anything rash, okay?
Yeah.
You're hearing me, right?
Yes.
All right.
What about
Light is, what?
my name, JP?
That I don't know yet. Obviously, they've been taken into some sort of protective services. So we'll have to start researching that tomorrow.
Can you guys take care of them
Permanently?
until I can have them back? For now? Just so they're not in a foster home? Until something else gets figured out.
Well, we're going to be involved in figuring out the process. I guarantee that. We have to talk to Teray and Don. God, I don't even know if they know yet. Don't know.
Okay.
Well, my answer was absent, as you noticed. I did not say I was going to do that, and I don't mean to upset you more with that, but
I
I'm
understand.
not ready to make. What's that? No, you don't understand, but damn it. You know, I'm really pissed right now, Bree. I'm very mad at you. I know you're going through a terrible thing, but Jesus, this is so uncharacteristic. Why did you grab a gun? Was he going to hurt you?
I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know.
Are you on any medicine now?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have them with you?
No.
Well, that's something that needs to be addressed. Could you bring that up to the sheriff, respectfully, of course,
Yes.
or the jail staff, if you had to wait that long?
I will.
All right. my mind is racing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. This, I'm not familiar with this situation, as you are not. All right, well, later tonight, if you get another chance, you're gonna have to give up your phone at some point.
I don't have my phone.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you're on this. I'm trying to think. Okay, they're good. Later, tomorrow morning, after the investigation has reached a certain point, they're gonna charge you with something. You know that, obviously.
Yeah.
And whether they decide to need a secure medical facility or a jail, some sort of holding cell, a jail, is going to be, it sounded like the sheriff said, depending on what you tell the jail staff. When you're being admitted, you're going to have to tell them something one way or the other. All right, well, when they offer you a public defender, agree, take the public defender, a lawyer, until we can at least figure out a better way of going, okay?
Okay.
Just we have a point of contact, so you have a representative, someone we can call and get questions answered.
Okay.
All right.
She almost sounded chipper, didn't she? Okay. Okay. It seemed to me like she sounded chipper.
I know you're in shock right now. I know this is awful. I wish there was something I could tell you to make you feel better. I don't know what it is. We got your back. We love you. In the morning, we're going to start trying to get more answers. But the public defender could do that as far as finding out where the kids are and stuff like that. I'm sure they're safe. I don't have them here, obviously.
Yeah.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Your brother's okay. I told you he's shaking. He was, he called me. He was panicked. Somebody else is calling right now. I don't know who it is. But, so yes, Eric's okay.
Okay.
I guess you were texting in the car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I sent you a text too, but it must have been too late.
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
I'm going to guess that her brother ran and called his boyfriend because he needed consoling.
Well, you're welcome. Just stay calm. And easy to say, right? I'm so sorry.
I'm just gonna get like this.
What?
It's nothing.
Right.
I don't know if it's worse than he's dead or that I killed him.
All right. Well, let's focus on the things that Kylie's okay. She's with Hardy. And the kids are okay. And we will start seeing what we can do as far as, getting them in a better situation. All right?
Okay.
All right. I will talk to you tomorrow morning.
Love you.
As far as I know, I love you too. Bye.
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 Thank you, Judge. Detective Rowell, toward the end of that conversation where we hear Ms. Kuhn speaking with her dad, she makes several references that she has spoken to the district attorney, the guy in the suit. She is referring to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you work for the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She did not speak with anybody from the district attorney's office, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, during that interview of nearly 53 minutes, at any time did Ms. Kuhn relate to you that Colin had ever raped her?
No, sir.
Did Ms. Kuhn ever relate to you anything that Colin had was threatening the children's safety or was
No.
threatening to kill the children?
No, sir.
Did she ever mention anything about Colin's gun in his truck?
No, sir.
I know the space heater was on there towards the beginning. The first thing she mentioned to you was he was going to take my kids, correct?
Yes, sir.
And And then her version was he kicked her, he's coming at her, and she shot him.
Her first version, yes, sir.
Okay. And he was going to kill her.
He had a look, yes, sir. He had a look on his face that was inferred to her that he was going to kill her.
And you and Detective Kelly asked her repeatedly towards the end about what he was doing, where was he?
Check, best evidence is the video we just watched, not his interpretation of what was on the video. Best evidence is what we just watched.
Overrule the objection for now. Go ahead, Mr. Alderman.
Towards the end of that interaction with Ms. Kuhn, you and Detective Kelly asked her repeatedly about what Colin was doing, where was he? You specifically asked, did he have anything in his hands? What was he doing? Did you ever receive an answer to any of those questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Detective Rowell. Those are my questions.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, sir. No bullets, no bullet fragments, no shell casings, nothing was ever sent to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for testing. Was there, Detective?
No, sir.
Bree told you where the firearm was located, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
And you knew the deputies had been out there at least twice before the shooting happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
But law enforcement didn't do anything. They didn't make any arrests, did they?
No, sir.
And Bree asked you twice during the video, at least twice, why didn't they arrest him? Why didn't they arrest him? You didn't have an answer at the time, did you?
No, sir.
Did you know at the time, or do you know now, that she told the deputies, not once, but twice, that she'd been raped and not a dang thing was done?
Post that incident, yes, I was told about that, but also that she wouldn't fill out a statement or anything of that nature. The initial call was for battery only. When they explained to her that no arrest would be made on a battery, then she decided to bring forth the sexual battery allegations.
But they didn't do a rape assault kit on her, and they didn't investigate, they didn't question Mr. Turner about this rape, did they?
No, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't guess he wants to accept the fact that his client, she didn't make those accusations until after she found out there was nothing they could do if he wanted to take the children. Mm.
Nothing about her allegations about the rape, did they?
No, sir.
And at one point, Bree, she allowed him back into the residence, didn't she?
Yes, sir, at one point.
Okay. Now, you knew that Bree had a prior mental health Baker Act proceeding before this happened, right?
At that time of the interview, no, sir.
Okay. And during the interview, there's talk of divorce, threats of the decedent taking the kids, right?
Yes, sir.
And that was one of her worries, that he was going to take the children, right?
Yes, sir.
And then she told you that she locked him out and he tried to come in.
That was what she
according to the
initially.
video, right?
Yes, sir. That's what she initially stated.
Now, were you privy, or did you know that Colin, Mr. Turner, in his call to law enforcement said that she was trying to break his arm during his call?
Yes, sir. I did know that.
You reviewed that and you knew that before you interviewed her, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I listened to the phone call prior to the interview.
Okay. Now we just heard from the medical examiner, there wasn't any broken arms or anything looking like anybody tried to
Your
break
Honor,
his
I'm
arm.
going to object as to form, as to referencing another witness's testimony.
Sustain as to the form.
Okay, you attended the autopsy, didn't you?
I've already given my opinion on this. I mean, I guess when you only have little breadcrumbs that you think might get you like an extra worm for the day, but dude, nope, you're batting zero right here.
Yes, sir. I did.
Okay, you saw Dr. Gallagher examine the body, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I did.
You didn't see any evidence of broken arms or bruising or lacerations or anything to that man's arms, did you?
No, sir.
So he was lying, wasn't he, about that?
Your Honor, I'm going to object for argument.
Sustained.
It takes a lot of cojones to stand up there and call the dead person who's not said one single word to you a liar. I mean, I think, do y'all think? So this person is dead. He can't agree with you or disagree with you, but you get to say that he was lying at a specific time, although you don't know him. Okay, dude. Okay. Okay, dude. All right, little dude. You go right ahead.
And she told you that he kicked her. She blocked him from coming in the house and he kicked her foot, right?
That was what she initially stated. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't know, I don't know, jury don't know because none of us were there. Only she was there, right?
Correct.
And unfortunately, Mr. Turner can't tell us yet.
Correct.
When did you found out about the mental health issues that Bree was suffering from?
It was either later that night or the next couple of days through the investigation.
But unfortunately, you didn't know that information before you started talking to her that night, did you?
Correct. I did not know the information when I was talking to her that night.
Did you participate in the interview with her brother? Did you go to Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir. Myself and Detective Kelly.
He indicated to you that he was talking to her at or around the same time that this incident happened, didn't he?
That is what he said. Yes, sir.
And it looked like from during the interview that you were able to find out that Bree kept her gun in the closet away from the children, didn't you?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Did you know where Colin kept his guns?
No, sir.
Well, let me just say that Bree and Colin lived together, so wherever he kept his guns is where they kept their guns. And wherever he kept his and she kept hers were in separate places. They're both adults living in a home, so making responsible decisions about where to put their guns. He's gonna he's gonna beat the word gun into the dirt in his trial.
And she told you should have just let me kill myself, didn't she?
That is what she said. Yes, sir. Because then her best friend would
At
still be
least
alive.
twice during the interview, she asked you why didn't they arrest him when I called the police.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I believe she also mentioned during the interview that she tried to help him, didn't she?
Yes, sir.
One moment, please.
Yes, sir.
Y'all didn't make the decision to charge a first-degree premeditated murder. That was a
No,
grand
I'm
jury.
objecting for relevance.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
I'd ask that be stricken from the record.
And the jury to disregard that question, and the question is stricken.
Were you able to ascertain
You know, he knew better than that. He knew better than that. Shame on you.
how many guns that Mr. Turner had?
No, sir.
Thank you. Those were the questions.
Redirect?
Yes, sir, just briefly. Detective Rowell, after I asked you about the gun potentially being sent off for FTLE, for ballistics testing, things of that nature. Why was that not done in this case?
It was not relevant to the case.
And can ballistics match certain projectiles to certain firearms?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have any question as to which firearm was used in this case?
No, sir.
Mr. Etheridge asked you about the phone call with Colin, and he mentions she tried to break my arm, and he asked you several other questions. Did Colin mention that he had bruises on his arm?
No, sir. Not on the phone call.
Did he say he had lacerations on his arm?
No, sir. Not on the phone call.
Did he say his arm was broken?
That it was broken? No, sir. He just said she tried.
Did he say he had any physical injuries of any kind?
No, sir.
And obviously, he was never able to further describe what happened, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Etheridge asked you, you did not know Colin's gun was in the truck, correct?
No, sir.
And you didn't know how many guns Colin had?
Correct.
That's because she never told you, did you?
No, sir.
She never brought it up?
No, sir.
Not once?
Not once.
As to the incident itself, Mr. Etheridge asked you only Colin and Bree were present, is that correct?
Correct.
But we have a recording of what happened, don't we?
We do. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Detective.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can this witness be excused or does he need to remain?
Judge, he doesn't need to remain in the courtroom, or I'm sorry, in the building, I've asked him to remain on standby for rebuttal.
Okay. All right, sir, you may step down.
Thank you.
And
Walk like a boss, man. Talk like a boss. You go, dude. You go. You go, dude. You go. Yeah, I liked him.
just remain on standby.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Alderman.
State rest, Judge.
Okay, if the attorneys will approach.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? State rest. State rest. State rest, Judge. Hmm. What do y'all think about them apples? Do you see any resemblance between Bree and Sarah? Bree Kuhn and Sarah Boone? Hey, everybody. Okay, we're back from lunch, but the attorneys have asked to speak to the judge, and y'all get ready for some entertainment. It's free. Now, this person that's going to get up on the stand, let me just warn you. He's got a smudge on his glasses. It's driving me past being insane. Okay? It's just I just almost can't with it. I just oh my word. But this little dude is rather entertaining. So to speak. So the jury is not in here right now. Just remember that. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. I have to keep redoing them. I'm never gonna get finished.
Yeah, he'll come over to the witness stand. All right, sir, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell me the truth, whole truth, and the true self you got?
Yes, sir.
I have a seat in the chair. All right, the defense wanted to inquire of this witness about something that occurred in the hallway. Is that correct?
Randy Evans, Your Honor, up here on behalf of Bree Kuhn. Has he been sworn in, Your Honor?
Yes, that's where I'm in.
Would you state your full name for the record, please, sir?
Eric Jerome Kuhn.
And Mr. Kuhn, were you called here today to testify via trial subpoena that was issued by our offices?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where were you at earlier today before you were called in to testify?
I've been right outside on the chair, sir.
Okay. You were aware of the rule of sequestration that you're not to speak to anybody else about your proposed testimony, correct?
Yes, sir.
Tell the court what you saw, what you observed while you were out there waiting for your turn to testify.
Two of the detectives that I had met previously were out there just talking, and then another police officer in a full uniform came out and he started talking about the trial and that the defense was nonsense and that he had been a soldier and PTSD is serving overseas, not here, and things like that.
They talk. Were you in earshot? Could you hear and understand most or any of what they were saying?
He was right next to me.
Okay. Were they talking directly about their testimony or the testimony that was to be presented here in court today?
I would presume so. I didn't hear their testimony, but that he came out and was discussing being in here and that the defense was nonsense.
Okay. Was one of the persons that you heard talking, was that Detective Roll, the fellow that came up to Pennsylvania to speak to you?
He was being talked to by the officer in uniform. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Alderman?
So, Mr. Kuhn, this uniformed officer, was he discussing things that had happened inside the courtroom?
Yes, he said that. I guess things he heard, he said they were nonsense.
Okay, you just heard him say that was nonsense? The defense is nonsense?
Yes.
Okay. Is that it?
He was discussing time served in the military that he had, I believed, and he said something about seeing a skull cracked open from enemy fire is PTSD that what the plaintiff suffered wasn't.
Okay, so this uniformed officer was giving his opinion about the case. Is that correct? In terms of,
Yes,
and he thought the defense was nonsense.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one follow-up, just to make the record clear, Mr. Kuhn. Uniform officer, the other detectives, were they talking about things that they were going to testify to about today?
The uniform officer discussed what he was in here testifying to. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, wait. That's not what you said initially.
Okay, make
So
sure,
that-
make
what
sure
we
we're
said-
clear for the,
Yeah,
for the court.
That's
Okay,
not what my
this is-
understanding was.
Y'all, the judge just spoke up right there. Yo, little dude, you better, yeah, see them eyes? Focus. Yo, little dude. Judge just called you on your story, man. The judge.
This uniformed officer went to Detective Rowell, who was not uniformed. He's in a suit. And it was this uniformed officer that was talking to him, correct?
He was talking to two of the detectives, and it seemed, I believe the young lady was a medical examiner. They were all out there. She had a black purse, gray pearls.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, so now we've added another person to the mix. So these two detectives that testified, they're just sitting around out front doing nothing now. I mean, they got nothing to do. They're just sitting out there. Medical examiner, black purse, gray pearls. Dude, if you'd watched Legally Blonde, you'd have known you're supposed to get the shoe, not manufacturer, but creator, person that makes the shoes or what have you. I mean, come on. If you're going to get with fashion, let's get with it all the way. But really, so you've got the two detectives that came up and interviewed you, and then you have someone in uniform that testified today, and you have the medical examiner, and they're out there just doing a powwow. Except nobody in uniform testified today, dumbass.
I was sitting right out there.
The most important question, Mr. Kuhn, is whether they were talking about what they were going to testify about today.
My understanding from their conversation was he had already testified, and then he came out speaking.
So there was nothing said about proposed testimony. They're talking about this, the defense attorney is going to ask this, or you need to watch out for this, anything like that at all?
No, sir.
Okay. And they didn't discuss, well, you need to say this, you need to say that. Was
No,
there
sir.
anything like that? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kuhn.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alderman, any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, sir, you may step down and go back outside. And when it's your turn to testify in the front of the jury, we will come and get you, okay?
Yes, sir.
He will be next, Judge.
Okay.
I know you like him to come in next.
Okay, so they've got a few minutes to,
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move forward till they're ready to call the first witness for the defense. Y'all just get ready. Oh no, I'll let you listen to this. Did they say it? I think it's clear.
What they said, they didn't say anything. His testimony was that this other uniformed person talked to them about the defense being nonsense and then about military service. So this witness's
excuse me.
testimony does not indicate that the detectives were talking about what happened in the courtroom. We're not sharing what they had testified to. And I guess, Mr. Alderman, was there any uniform officers that you had here today?
No, it was going to be one of the directors, like Judge, that he seemed a little unclear, or maybe I was unclear, but no uniformed officers testified today. I mean, there may be uniformed officers out there, obviously the present here at the courthouse, but there was no witness in uniform that left the courtroom and would have discussed their testimony. Obviously, the only witnesses were Detective Rowell and the medical examiner.
May I inquire now whether Jameson Lynn or Stephen Quick, who are scheduled as potential rebuttal witnesses, were here today?
I have not seen them, and I told them to be on standby for tomorrow.
Very good.
So all the uniformed officers that we've heard from would not have been here today, but we're on standby for tomorrow. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct?
Yes.
All right, so I don't know who this uniformed officer is. I don't even know if they were even a witness in the case.
My take from what he was saying was that it sounded like a deputy not involved in the case was giving his opinion as to the validity of the defense.
Okay.
Now I'm happy to,
The only problem with that, I know the DA is trying to be nice and just, get on with it because we all know what that was. But the problem with that, sir, is that he just said that the uniformed police officer had just testified and was talking about the case. So he did dig his grave a little deep. Just saying is all.
remind the witnesses of the rule of sequestration, an abundance of caution. I'm happy to do that.
Sure. But let me just say for the record, there's no evidence that Detective Rowell or Detective Kelly violated that rule.
No, sir. I'll just tell them, that sometimes people mishear things or hear what they want to hear. So I'll
Okay.
have a word with them.
If you'll step out and maybe, I don't know, Mr. Esther, Mr. Barnes, if you want to step out and remind your witnesses as well, just to make doubly sure. I didn't mean to get my back while you were talking. No, I understand, Mr. Barnes.
So sometimes they just make up things. Sometimes, maybe they expected some of those uniformed officers to be there. Did you talk to Bree last night, Eric? Eric? Or did y'all cook that up at another time? Or she just tell you just to fly by the seat of your pants, sugar? Because that
I don't
was
have any witnesses or
horrible.
Either past
Yeah,
or
ain't
future
nobody out
witnesses,
there. They're not
they're
going to
in
sit
the
out
courthouse.
there.
Okay.
They've all left.
You knew that before you went out there. You knew they weren't going to be sitting out there. They testified and got on about their business. They got things to do. They got more people to go surprise and not give notification they're coming up to interview them. That's all they do. Shoddy people they are. My goodness. Both the judge and the DA were polite. I don't see how. Nothing but a bunch of bull malarkey coming out that boy's mouth. All right.
I'm going to step off the bench just for about 3 minutes and then wait for Mr. Barnes.
All rise for the jury, please.
Oh, Judge, please start standing up. I'm so used to judges standing up. I think it's such a cool thing because it's so respectful. Come on, little dude. You can do that for us. You can. I know you can. Please.
Okay, everybody can be seated. All right, members of the jury, the state's rested its case. I'll turn it over to the defense. Mr. Barnes, you'll call your first witness.
Eric Kuhn, Your Honor.
Now, y'all remember, the jury was not in there when he come out here talking. Okay? Y'all remember that. So they didn't see this little dude first. And y'all, he hadn't fixed the smudge on his glasses. Ugh. I can't see out of mine if they're dirty like that. I just really can't.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, sir. Have a seat in the chair. Pull the chair as close to the microphone as you can. Speak loud enough into the microphone so that everybody can hear you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barnes, you may proceed.
Thank you. Would you say your name?
Eric Jerome Joshua Kuhn.
And thanks for being here. We've asked you to come to this trial, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you flew down, I think, last night.
Yes, sir.
You live in,
Pennsylvania.
there you go. And how do you know Bree?
She's my younger sister.
And how old are you?
I'm 38.
Just briefly, did you guys like grow up together or separate, or talk about that dynamic a little bit?
We grew up together until I was in 9th grade, and then my sister moved to live with my dad.
Was there ever a time that you two became reunited in terms of living in the same place after that?
No.
Was there a point in time you moved to Texas with your sister?
We moved to Texas. She moved from Texas to New York with my dad. We lived in Pennsylvania together.
Yes, sir.
Moved to Texas together with our mom, and then she went from Texas to New York with my dad.
Was there any, and again briefly, was there any physical abuse at all in the family?
Yes, our mom was very abusive our entire childhood, even into adulthood.
Was she ever physically abusive to Bree?
Yes.
Okay.
Terribly.
And to yourself?
Oh, yes.
What role, if any, did Bree play in being the big sister with regard to your?
Well, she was the little sister, but
Sorry.
I would always go along to get along. I figured if I kept my mouth shut, it wouldn't last nearly as long. My sister would even try to defend me and yell at my mom saying, "Why are you hitting him?" And then she would get hit very bad as well for trying to protect me.
Was Bree a protector of yours, for lack of a better word, in that dynamic?
Yes, she's a little sister only by age.
Yes, sir. Now, obviously, you guys grow up and people live in different places and so forth. Do you stay in touch?
Yes.
Phone calls?
Phone calls, text messages, social media, but we would even visit. Sometimes I was at her graduation from boot camp in Chicago. I went and visited her while she was in advanced individual training in San Antonio. She's lived several places with the Navy. I have visited a couple of them to see her.
When is the last time that you saw Bree, other than right now, obviously?
We had gone on a trip to the bungalows in Key Largo in Florida about 1 to 2 years before this incident occurred.
And who was on that trip?
It was me, Bree, and Colin.
Is there any reason you were, well, did they invite you?
Yes, I was given a couple of reasons. One is Colin was in school, so he was studying quite a bit. So they thought that if he was studying, I could hang out with my sister so she wasn't alone. If she wanted to rest or recoup, I could hang out with him if he wasn't studying. And then they also, both of them at separate times and together, told me that they were having marital issues and they thought a third person might help what they were working on together.
I just have to say that at this point in time in his testimony, I don't buy that. So it was supposedly 1 to 3 years ago, or 1 to 2 years ago. And I'm thinking that they invited him on a vacation just to be nice and to have some family time. I don't think if you're going on a getaway and you're having issues that you would bring along somebody with you, let alone, I just don't think it was issues. I honestly think that it was a vacation, but I think that this little dude here, he's just gonna tell some stories, right? I look blurry. Hold on.
Did you notice any physical abuse on that trip? At least, obviously, in front of you.
No, not that I saw, sir.
Okay. Did you learn anything about Colin that you didn't know on that trip?
Yes, sir.
What did you learn?
It was in my deposition, but I know he told me that the reason him and Bree got along very well is that they were both psychopaths and narcissists. He seemed to think that was entertaining, I believe. I know we would talk about, I would go to the gym at that place and he would talk to me about like steroids and supplements and things like that, which I didn't.
You're not on objective relevance.
Sustained.
Fair enough. we can move along.
Yes, sir.
So you go back to, at that time, still in Pennsylvania, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Bree goes back wherever she is, and you guys continue to have conversations?
Here and there, yes, sir.
Okay. Did Bree ever tell you anything about her marriage or about Colin that would be noteworthy? How they were getting along, any problems, anything like that?
Yes, sir. It seemed like that trip didn't help much. They were still having really bad issues, and I came to learn how far they went later on as well.
Okay, you would think that I've never watched a trial because I'm confused right here. Why is this little dude getting to say how his sister felt? Oh, crud. Or what his sister said, or any of that. I'm just curious. Oh, no. Sorry.
And um, did your sister, if you could tell, was she depressed about that, upset about that? I mean, I'm sure she wasn't happy about it.
No, she was highly depressed, sir. In fact, I do know she tried to kill herself. I was with her on the phone, and I had even called Colin to tell him this is what she's doing. She's in the house, and he couldn't care less. I actually had to call the medics to tell them to go to the house for her, pump her stomach.
Let me back you up a bit, but then we can talk about that a little bit more. Now, I guess as the big brother, even though she's the de facto or de jure big sister, if you will, did you ever give her any advice in terms of what she should do when she's telling you this stuff about the marriage and she's depressed? And did you ever tell her, like, just leave?
Yes.
And did she?
No, she was quite scared, not for herself, but for her kids.
Is that what she reported to you, or you just assumed that?
No, she told me that.
Okay. Now, again, we're not going to spend a bunch of time on it because you just talked about it. But you were on the phone with your sister when she was about to commit suicide or trying to commit suicide?
Yes, sir.
What did you learn on the phone about that in terms of how she was trying to do it, or why, or anything else about it?
There were multiple reasons as to the why. The how was she told me she had taken all of her prescription medications and a lot of alcohol together and then went into a closet. And the why was she was unhappy in the marriage. She wanted to leave, but she was petrified that she wouldn't be able to get custody of the kids. My understanding from my conversations with her was Colin had a family with access to wealth that he could have hired lawyers and things like that, where she didn't have the same access, so she didn't know what her odds were of getting the children.
Okay, a couple things here. In Bree's interview, if you remember, what was it she was telling the police officers or the detectives? I'm sorry. He should have let me die. He should have let me die. And she was talking about Colin. So, Mr. Eric, this is my assumption because, see, I heard your sister's testimony. So I'm going to guess if any portion of this is true, it would be possibly that you were on the phone with Bree and she told you she was going to do that to herself and that she had taken all her prescriptions and drank alcohol with them and that she was hiding in a closet. Then you in turn called Colin, who ran up and found where she was and what was happening, and when he discovered her, told you to call 911. Now, that's my guess if in fact you are the one that called 911. But we know from Bree that he stopped her. Eric, Colin stopped her. So I'm a little just confused on why you're sitting on that witness stand saying this stuff because surely the defense attorneys know what's coming out of your mouth that are lies, and they're allowing it to happen under oath. So we have that. And then the other thing was, what was it? Her fear. We now have motive. She wasn't afraid for the children's safety. According to this young man, Bree, and I believe this, wanted to leave Colin, and she knew apparently that whatever would be found out, that she would not be the best parent to have the children. And therefore, she wouldn't leave because she didn't want to lose custody. It's a huge difference. Huge. She's one of these people, I don't know, I just get the feeling maybe that would have done that to her children before she let her husband have them. That's my guess. Those children were never harmed by Colin. You, sir, are lying.
And when this, is happening, and you're on the phone with her, she's telling you she just did this. What did you do in response to any emergent reaction?
I called Colin. He was in the home with her.
And did he know what was going on
Yes.
in terms of the Bree's suicidal attempt in real time?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes?
Yes.
And what did he say about it? What was he doing about it?
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, did you say, dude, you got to call EMS? I mean, my sister's did you react that way? Or?
I didn't say my sister. I said your wife. I thought reminding him might help.
And did you disengage the phone?
Okay, y'all, I turned it to 1.50. If that's too fast for you, you can go into your little settings right there and you can slow it down to normal or whatever. Uh-oh, y'all. I forgot what I was going to say. Hold on. I didn't say my sister. I said your wife. Reminding him may help. So in that critical time when your adrenaline is just pumping and flowing and that panic is filling your body, you stopped and you thought, I can get through to Colin if I say your wife instead of my sister. I don't think so, dude. Just like I don't think she took all of her medication and was drinking alcohol. Some of the medication that she had, there were quite a few in the bottle, and trying to swallow a lot of them, at some point, she would start becoming pretty sick. There's no way she could have taken all of her medications. But thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And I'm sorry, y'all. I can just forget what I'm going to say within a thought, I guess.
And did you disengage the phone call and it was your opinion that he wasn't going to do anything?
It was my opinion he was going to let her die.
Okay. Did he flat out say, no, I'm not calling EMS?
Yes.
And you get off the phone with him. Who calls EMS if you need?
Me.
Okay. Now,
But you can't clean your
the
glasses.
day of the shooting, did Bree call you that day?
Multiple times, sir.
And what was the general nature of those calls, if you can tell us?
I would say anxiety and fear. She had had a surgery scheduled for many months. And I guess they were having she told me they were having a dispute that day that if she went to have the surgery, he was going to kidnap the children and she would never see them again. So she was asking me if I could come down, not to be with her, but to be with the kids while she had the surgery so that he couldn't take them away from her. Then she would call again and say that they were discussing it and he would watch them and wouldn't take them. And then it seemed like they'd been having an argument all day about this and he was going back and forth on what would happen.
Were the calls mixed in with, hey, how's the weather? I saw a good movie last night, or were they all in relation to what was going on between them? And
No, this was a very important issue. There was no, common conversation in between. It was her medical well-being. The surgery wasn't for appearance or anything. It was for her health and then the well-being of her children.
And at any point that day, did you intentionally talk to Colin?
No, sir.
Yeah, let me just say, I find this extremely interesting. They had the police out to their home. Was it 2 or 3 times that day? Maybe it was just twice. Never once did Bree say anything about going to have surgery and her husband was going to take the children. Did she? No, never once. Never once. She never said a word about surgery. So Eric, are we trying for some sympathy cards here? Because quite frankly, in my opinion, I'm not sure you would know the truth if it bit you in the rear end. And that's my humble opinion, young man. The fact that you got up here on this stand should embarrass you and should embarrass your family. And the least you could have done was clean your glasses.
Did your sister tell you he's not going to take? Did you find out he was going to take care of her at all when she has the surgery and her recovery? Or in other words, did he care about that at all? Did you know anything about that?
No, the end result prior to the shooting was if she had the surgery for her health, he was going to take the kids, go to his parents' house, and she would never see them again.
Yes, sir. Now the final call, you actually, and we're going to work up towards it, but the call, you actually heard the shots, correct?
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury what was the length of that call.
It was several minutes, sir. It was quite some time we were on the phone.
Was it like 45 minutes?
I would say so, sir.
And what are you hearing during that time?
In my sister's voice, utter fear. And then I heard a lot of discourse, Colin screaming, things being hit. At one point, he was on the phone with the police, I believe, trying to tell them that my sister was doing something, and she was on the phone with me.
Did you ever hear Colin make any threats or raise his voice or anything of that nature?
I did hear his voice raised a few times, yes, and I did hear at some point children crying.
And there was were you aware of a point in time when Bree got a gun? Were you aware of that?
I don't believe that. Yeah, I believe she grabbed the gun and I said to get out of the house, and she said to kill the kid. She couldn't.
And was there a point in time where you heard, like, did she say, he's hurting me, or he kicked me, or?
Oh yes, I heard slamming. She did say that. She was even telling him, "Why are you doing this?" And then she screamed that, "Ow!" And at another point, the phone fell to the ground, and I heard a scuffle.
Did you hear your sister say, "You're not taking the fucking kids"?
She said, "You're not taking them," and she said, "You're not killing them."
Okay. And then she gets the gun, correct?
I would believe so, yes, sir.
I'm going to object for speculation.
Restate your question. Are you aware, like what you heard earlier, you said that you knew she went and got a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And then I brought you to the kicking and the struggles and so forth in the aisle, and hitting the floor, and all that. Was that before or after you realized she got a gun?
Before.
All those struggles were before?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so now she's got the gun, and you're.
Again, I'm going to object for speculation.
Civil approach.
Yes, sir.
If I were to give y'all my whole thought process right here, it wouldn't be very good because I just, are you kidding me?
I need to do a better job of like a timeline a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
First, how were you aware that your sister got a gun? Did she tell you?
I believe she did. I believe she said that's how she was going to protect the kids.
And
at that point, I was begging her to just get out of the house, but she kept saying the kids, the kids, the kids.
now again, this is a 45-minute call. We get to a point where you hear indicators of a struggle in the aisle, in the throwing around and so forth. How long after that do you believe your sister got the gun? And if you know.
Immediately. She was thrown to the ground, and he was grabbing the kids because I heard the kids yelling.
I'm going to object to speculation.
Sustain the objection.
And then we end up, what happens next? What do you hear next?
The shots.
Prior to the shots going off, did you hear your sister say anything?
She kept saying that he was not going to kill the kids. And the kids were crying.
And obviously you're not there. You hear the shots. Did you say anything after that?
I was crying and yelling, oh my God. And she told me, I killed him. I have to call the cops, and hung up. I tried calling her back. There was no answer. Then I called my father.
1 second here. That'd have been fun. No further questions.
Mr. Alderman, cross-examination?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In this, you do have cross-examination. Okay.
Judge a little confused. He was going to
Good
release
afternoon, Mr.
him.
Kuhn.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I want to touch on this trip that you and your sister took to Key Largo, was it?
With Colin.
Yes. And you're there for approximately a week, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you never, as you said, you never saw any physical abuse during that time, did you?
No, sir.
Did you suspect any physical abuse?
No, sir.
You never suspected anything other than the marital issues? You never suspected any kind of physical abuse, domestic abuse, rape, anything, did you?
No, sir.
And you thought Colin was a nice guy, didn't you?
I had some qualms after he told me that he believed himself to be a psychopath, but that was it. I thought it made.
Do you remember previously? Well, let's talk about that. The psychopath. He makes a comment, we're both psychopaths, and then he and Bree both laugh, don't they?
At the time they were together, he made it other times as well, alone.
Okay, and they both laughed when he said it when they were together?
Oh, when they were together, yes.
So they both laughed and agreed they're both psychopaths?
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that comment, that's the worst thing you saw and heard during that time together? I mean, is that
Worse, no, my sister confided in me about what the issues were at home, but none of them involved the other things you mentioned.
right, they were marital issues, right? It comes to chores.
Yes, sir.
And she had told you she was stressed about that she was working and was financially responsible, correct?
Yes, sir.
Those kind of marital issues.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And up until the day Colin was murdered, you never had any reason to suspect anything untoward in terms of a physical nature, did you?
No, sir.
Now, you mentioned about talking to your sister several times that day, correct? And that there was issues about the surgery. And I believe you said that Colin had made a comment about kidnapping the kids.
Yes, sir.
Was he going to kidnap the kids, or was he refusing to watch the kids, according to Bree?
I don't know what the phrase kidnap was used. It was that he was going to take the kids to his parents if she had the surgery.
Okay. So he wasn't refusing to watch them.
He was saying he would take them and she would never see them again.
Okay. Do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Excuse me?
Do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on September 24th?
I wouldn't know the dates, sir, but I remember they flew up to Pennsylvania.
And was that a close in time to the time of the murder?
I want to say it was within a week, sir.
Okay. And you they interviewed about what had happened. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want my first witness?
You may.
Judge, there's no problem. Impeach me and ask me a question. Yeah, and look, ask me a question. It's a problem.
That's got to be Mr. Barnes.
I whispered it.
All right, Mr. Alderman.
The question was about whether Colin was watching the kids or kidnapping the kids or refusing to watch the kids was the question.
Okay, you may continue.
Mr. Kuhn, and I'm on page 5. I want you to read this to yourself, lines 15 through 21.
I'm sorry, Mark, is that the interview or the demo?
Okay. Page 5. And just look up here when you're done.
Yes, sir.
Does that help refresh your memory as to what Bree was telling you about the kids?
What I said was accurate. She said he was going to take them.
Yes, I am going to object that. Refreshing memory is one thing. The way you do that is to say, well, A, the witness has to say, I don't remember. B, you say, if I showed you something, would you remember? Would it aid you to remember? The witness has to say yes. And this, so, yes, objection.
All right. Overruled. You may continue, Mr. Alderman.
So, Mr. Kuhn, you previously said that he was refusing to take the kids or to watch the kids, correct?
In here? Yes.
Yes, sir. That's what you told the police, correct?
Yes.
That he was refusing to watch the kids.
He was also threatening to take them.
He was doing both?
All I knew is he was threatening to take them.
Okay, and refusing to watch them.
Refusing. I don't understand if he takes them. How's he not? I mean, maybe his parents
I
will
don't
watch them.
understand either. That's why I'm asking.
This interview was highly inappropriate to my belief because I was not told about it. I was in the gym at 6 a.m. and a police officer told me, I'm here waiting to meet you. I was never given any call, confirmation, anything. I had no idea what was going on. He just called me and told me he landed in Avoca from Florida with no knowledge or anything. I couldn't even get in touch with my sister's attorneys. I don't know if she had attorneys at that time. I had no idea what was going on other than 2 police officers with no phone calls told me they were in my city and had to meet me. And I didn't even know if that was appropriate or what was going on. I was at a complete loss.
Okay, so you think you should get advance notice before being interviewed about a murder case?
I don't.
Overruled.
I'm a professional with a small business. My time belongs to my clients and my family. I would like to know. I guess I book appointments.
Okay, now let's get back on track.
Oh my
Detective-
gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, but really, really. So most detectives don't give a heads up when they're gathering information about a murder. Just saying is all. I mean, and I don't know what kind of business you have, but I'm going to guess it's not very flourishing. My word. Or you think you're being smooth. I don't know, but you have some issues, young man.
to show up, and according to your statement there, you tell them he's refusing to watch the kids, correct? That's what you told the detectives.
Yes.
Now you're also saying he wanted to kidnap the kids.
My testimony is that he was kidnapping the kids. Like I said, I was not in a good state of mind when those detectives showed up. I was everywhere and nowhere. Unprofessionalism was quite shocking to me.
Okay, so is there a reason you told them that Bree was telling you he's refusing to watch the children?
I have no idea because on the phone call, she said that he was kidnapping them very specifically.
Okay, so why did you tell the detectives that he was refusing to watch them?
I just said a few times, I was completely shell shocked. I don't know if you've ever been bombarded with surprise, but I don't know where my head was at when these detectives came.
Okay, and the issue was about you coming down to watch the kids, is that right?
She wanted me to watch the kids, be there when she had the surgery so that he could not take them.
In other words, what he really wants to say is, you see, because my sister committed a murder with me on the phone, I was just so beside myself, I didn't know what to do. And I don't know how that's going to affect me for the rest of my life. Because I was on the phone with my sister when she committed murder. Why didn't you toss that in there?
And did she use the word kidnap, or is that your word?
When I gave my deposition, I said
I'm
kidnap.
not asking about the deposition. I'm asking kidnap.
I
Is that
know.
your-
I'm trying to give you
You finish
context. I don't know. At that time, I said kidnap, but I don't believe a parent can technically kidnap their own kids.
That
At
was my
that point, when
question,
I was
sir.
interviewed, I said the wrong word, I believe.
If you listen to my question, question was kidnap her word or your word?
Mine, she said take.
She said take. Okay, you said kidnap. Okay. You understand a parent can't kidnap their own children, correct?
I just said that.
Okay. So why did you use the word kidnap before?
I don't know. I just said that. After reflection, I think that was the wrong word.
Okay, but aren't you an English major? Or has that not come up yet? because for a businessman, as an English major, one would think you'd use the appropriate words since you're all about appropriateness. I apologize. Can y'all tell I'm getting really frustrated with this little deed?
Now, you think this call is about 45 minutes long, is that right?
The final call, sir?
Yes. Sir. Okay. And you told Mr. Barnes that, I don't want to clarify, did you hear Colin on the phone with the police?
In the background, I heard him speaking, and Bree said he's on the phone with the cops.
Right. And when was that during this 45-minute phone call?
Maybe 30, 35 minutes into it.
Okay. And can you hear anything Colin is saying?
No, sir.
Okay. You just hear what Bree's telling you?
I heard his voice, but like on a speakerphone, you can hear a voice without it being clear what the words are. So I heard his voice, but I did not hear what he was saying.
Okay. Now, I believe you use several words, scuffle, altercation, ruckus. What exactly did you hear in terms of a physical altercation? Can you describe it?
I can do my best. I mean, I heard things banging. I heard my nieces and nephews crying and yelling. I heard my sister saying she was being hit. I heard Colin yelling, and I heard, like, I wouldn't know how to describe it. Things hitting the ground or things being hit, like bumped or something, like slams.
So things are being hit, and she's telling you Colin is hitting her. Is that correct?
At one point, yes, sir.
Okay. You don't know what's going on. Obviously, you can't see what's going on, can you?
No, sir. I was on speakerphone.
Okay. And this, did Bree ever mention a gun to you?
I believe right at the end, she said she was getting a gun to protect the kids, and I said, just leave. And I said he wouldn't hurt them. She said he would kill them, and that is when the call ended, when she shot him.
Now, during that interview with the police, did you ever tell the police that you knew about Bree getting a gun?
Yes.
You did?
Yes. I saw this before, and this isn't my whole interview. The police were there far longer than they recorded.
Okay. So are you saying the police interviewed you before they started recording you?
They were having a conversation with me. I don't know if you would consider it an interview, but yes.
And asking you questions about what happened?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then they turned the camera on and did a recorded interview, correct?
Yes, they were at my shop, I would say at least half an hour before they started recording.
Okay. And after they started recording, they told you, tell us about all the phone calls, didn't they?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. And you had Mr. Barnes on the phone as well, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And he told you to tell them everything that occurred?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, did you tell the police about Bree getting a gun?
I couldn't tell you, sir. I mean, like I said, since I'd already talked to them, I didn't know what, I told them once. I don't know if I told them a second time, but they did know.
You're claiming they knew that?
Oh, yes, sir.
And they're telling you, tell us everything, and Mr. Barnes is telling you, walk us through the whole thing. That would be one of the things you would want to mention, right? About your sister getting a gun?
I guess, I mean, it was all redundant, but I guess I would believe so, yes.
Now, you remember giving a deposition back on June 17th, don't you?
Yes, sir.
This year?
Yes, sir.
You appeared via Zoom?
That's what this is, I believe. Yes.
During that deposition,
Objection, improper. Again, it's an approach.
Well,
let's approach.
okay. Haven't been a question yet, so, but
Now, do y'all remember when he was saying how inappropriate the police were for sure, or the detectives were for coming with no notice to interview him? And he didn't know whether Bree had an attorney or what. It was totally inappropriate. You know, it was probably what, within about a week, according to him, and just, Did you just hear the prosecution remind him that her attorney was on the phone while he was being interviewed by these detectives? And he goes, "Oh, yes, that's right." Dude, little dude. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, I just, I guess I'm having a lot of problems nowadays with I thought, I just watched the Karen Reed trial when the DA and half of the witnesses lied. Sarah Boone lied, and they put him
Mr.
on the
Kuhn,
stand.
during the deposition you gave on June 17th, did you state at that time that you knew Bree had a gun?
I don't remember, sir. That was 3 years ago.
The deposition I'm speaking about on June 17th of this year.
Oh, this year.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not sure because I know I said it, but I also know that it was done via Zoom and it kept being broken up.
Okay, so you think you said it during one of the glitches?
Yes, I said it. I don't know whether or not it's in here.
Okay, so if you said it's on one of the glitches, it wasn't recorded. Is that what
If
you're
it wasn't recorded, I can't help that, but I did say it. And I would have come down. I don't know why it had to be done Zoom, but.
Okay, so if you just answer my questions.
Oh my gosh, y'all. So the detectives that have been doing this for years and years, not like the detectives in the Karen Reed trial, but real detectives that know how to do their job, they didn't record the whole interview. That makes absolutely no sense. They would want everything that you said on a recording, especially somebody like you, because you just really are making it fly by the seat of your pants, young man. Hate to tell you this, but them drawers is falling down. So why? Why? I mean, I don't remember. That was 3 years ago. No, no, that was just this past June. Oh, so 3 years ago, the detectives' cameras weren't being used while they were interviewing him during the whole conversation. Bullshit. And then in the summer of 2024, he had a Zoom meeting or a deposition taken by Zoom, and I'll be dadgummit. The Zoom was glitching that day. I mean, come on. It's like the dog ate my homework. English major, you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, this physical altercation that you hear, how long is that before the gunshots?
The physical part, I mean, the altercation was an argument that turned physical, and I would say it was physical for maybe 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe.
They were having a physical fight for 5 or 6 minutes?
Maybe. That's, like I said, there was yelling, kids screaming. I heard this hit. I heard yelling, then a slam. I wasn't there. This is just what I heard.
Okay. And so all this for 5 minutes you're hearing hitting. Is that what you're describing?
I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing kids screaming. I'm hearing things being hit. I don't know if phone hit a wall, a vase. I have no clue what it was. Yelling, kids yelling, Colin yelling, Bree crying and yelling, and I don't know how to describe sounds, sir, but there something of disarray was happening in there. What did Bree tell you he was doing during this time? She's giving you commentary on what Colin's doing. Is that right? At different points, she told me that he was hitting her. Then she was yelling at him, telling him that he was hurting the kids. She told me he was trying to load them in the car, but he said he was hurting her. I believe he had my niece's arm. She said that he was trying to drag her, and she was telling him to leave her alone.
Okay. Now, when you interviewed by the police, did you tell them any of this?
Yes.
You did? Okay. You want to approach us?
You bet.
Mr. Kuhn, do you remember at what point you told the police that Colin was dragging his daughter?
Dragging, no, she said that he had her by the arm and said to let her go.
Okay, so when did you tell the police that during your interview with them? You remember?
I couldn't tell you, like I said, this isn't the whole conversation I had with them. They were there much longer than this. I couldn't tell you what time it was.
Okay. So after they ask you to tell them everything that happened, Mr. Barnes tells you to walk through the whole thing. Did you describe to the police what you're now describing to this jury?
I guess it's a shame I'm not one for redundancy. I know they knew it because I did tell them whether or not it was when they filmed or not. If it's not in here, it wasn't when I was filmed.
Okay. Well, when Mr. Barnes tell you walk them through the entire thing, what do you think that means?
I think it was 3 days after the worst episode I've ever had in my entire life, and I still don't know how it has affected me.
Okay. Well, that wasn't my question. My question was, what do you think that means when somebody tells you, walk us through the entire thing? What does that mean to you?
It says, tell them everything I remember at that given point in the state of mind that I'm in.
Okay. You didn't make any mention about Bree telling you about him having the child by the arm, did you?
Apparently not while I was being filmed, but I do know I said it.
Okay. So you said everything before they were filming?
Not everything. I'm telling you, I had a long conversation with them. They walked through my building. They looked at my store. They were asking me about brands I sold. None of that's in here either.
Look, little smartass, they were being polite. Just run of the mill chat. No, that was probably not recorded. And they probably told you when they started recording. But I don't think they would have recorded just, hey, how are you? Oh, where did you get these purses from that you sell? They're magnificent. I mean, I don't think that happened, but I think it was small talk, being polite. Stop being such a smart ass. It's not a good look. Not a good look.
Now, I think you previously said that Colin had made some statement about killing the kids. Is that right? Did you hear him make some kind of statement like that?
Colin saying he would, no.
There was something about killing kids. What did you hear? Tell us what you heard.
She thought he would kill the kid. She was afraid of that. Bree.
And did she tell you that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you again. Did you ever tell the police that when you were interviewed? That Bree was telling you Colin was going to kill her children. Did you tell the police that?
I said that I know she was in fear for her kid's life, yes.
So do you want to, do you remember what point you said that?
No, sir. Like, this was 3 years ago. It was quite some time. And like I said, they were there for...
Well, let me ask you, is it difficult to remember the interview you gave 3 years ago?
Not the interview, the specifics of questions asked and answered on and off camera.
Okay. The specifics can be difficult 3 years later, can't they?
I just don't know when they turned the camera on.
Okay, so you think you may have told them before about telling the
We had a long conversation. I'm not sure the exact time, sir.
Okay. But again, you didn't say it after Mr. Barnes told you walk us through the whole thing. You didn't tell them.
Okay, let me just say, absolutely, for me, already, this little dude is the most unbelievable person that has sat on that stand.
Did you?
If it's not in here, no, sir.
Did you hear any specific words at any point from Colin during this phone call?
No.
But Bree's telling you things that he's doing and saying. Is that right?
Yes, she's telling me I'm on speakerphone. I can hear his voice at different parts, but it's not clear. I can't hear anything he's saying.
What about around the time of the gunshots? Did you ever hear him say anything?
No, I don't believe so, sir.
How many gunshots did you hear?
I heard 3, sir.
And you didn't hear Colin say anything around that time, did you? Around the time of the gunshots?
No, sir.
You didn't hear his voice around the time of the gunshots?
No, sir.
So it sounds like you hear a physical altercation, and she's telling you that Colin's hitting her, right? And kicking her. And then a short time, then you hear gunshots, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's immediately after the physical altercation, is that right?
What's immediate? I mean, it was within, I would say, 1 to 2 minutes. Yes, sir.
Now, you remember giving a deposition on the June 17th? No, that's not what you're looking at, sir.
Okay.
I'm asking you the deposition you gave on June 17th. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On page 23. Approach the witness.
You may.
So I want you to read this yourself, lines 13 through 17.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that help refresh your memory about how soon after the physical altercation you heard the gunshots?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said it was right after the gunshots, right?
Right after, yes, not immediately.
Okay. What do you define as right after?
Well, you said immediately. I think immediately is within seconds. Right after could be within a couple of minutes, sir. I'm sorry. I'm an English major, right? It's just specifics. I'm sorry.
So your definition of right after is a couple of minutes?
1 to 2.
Okay. But that's not what you described previously, correct? It's physical altercation, gunshots.
Well, and he's not taking my kids. Her making a statement. So that's
Right, and this is all part of one sequence, right?
Yes, sir.
There's no break in between, is there?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Kuhn, if you're hearing hitting noises on the phone, would you agree that somebody hitting another person sounds exactly the same as somebody hitting themselves?
Oh, probably.
Okay. So on the phone, it can be very hard to tell what's going on, can it?
Sure.
And if you're hitting noises and somebody's claiming, "Ow, that hurts," you can't see what's going on, can you?
No, sir.
Did your sister during this phone call, did she ever talk about being suicidal?
No, sir. Not during that phone call.
So she made no talk of committing suicide or anything like that, did she? At any point?
No, sir.
And what does your sister call you? Do you have a nickname or anything?
Oh, Bubba.
Okay. And is your phone number 5709?
No approach.
Dude, gonna dox him by accident. That was funny. So, y'all let me know what y'all think about little Eric. Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get this video done, and you won't believe that I've done it. This is my 4th time. Now I'm gonna get the yawns, so hold up. It's only, ooh, it's almost 2, and I gotta get up with the baby, so looks like another day not done. So he was on the phone with his sister for 45 minutes. He was on the phone while she shot him. He heard him earlier, and his sister said he was on the phone with the police or with 911. But that was 30 to 35 minutes into the phone call.
You may.
Then you have 10 minutes.
Mr. Kuhn,
Excuse me, jaw pop.
I'm a call log. I don't want you to announce the number, but I just want you to verify if you recognize this phone number for me.
Okay, sir.
Under the contact buffer, I don't know if you can see that from where you are.
Can I stand up?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
On a small
That's my number, sir.
That's not me making all that noise, just so y'all know. Anyway, Colin was on the phone with
Thanks for those
911 when he was shot and
Correct.
killed.
Sir, in your deposition, just a few lines up from this right after business, you said, she had said, "He just threw me to the floor. He's not taking my kids," and gunshots.
Yes,
So
sir.
the connector word there was "and," right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the few lines down, as we just learned, the connector is, and then right after that, you heard gunshots, was the question from the prosecutor. So the right after that's not your words. I mean, I can show you. If
I see it, sir.
Okay. So that's a question from not this prosecutor, but a different prosecutor, and you say yes, right?
Yes.
Okay. To the extent all that matters. you're listening. I mean, you're not watching this.
No,
okay?
sir.
You're listening and you're perceiving.
Yes, sir.
Right? And the next thing you perceived were the gunshots.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the difference between the kidnapping and taking, and you were called down here for the kids, correct?
Yes,
It
sir.
had to do with the kids.
That's all she ever cared about.
Right. And you're called down, even though their father is here. The father's not working, but you're called to take care of the kids, right?
Yes, she was afraid he was going to take them.
And then the day you're called down here, you go through your sister's calls and however long the final one was, and you hear these gunshots. Your sister gets arrested. It's a few days later. These people show up unannounced.
I'm object for pleading.
I'll sustain.
I was wondering-
Let's hear the question.
A, were you in like the best state of mind at that point?
No, sir. Not at all.
And when the investigators were there, did they ask you specific question followed by question followed by question? Or was it just walk us, for me, just walk us through?
I believe, you mean when they filmed it?
No, sir. When the investigators are there in Pennsylvania, was it more of just, hey, just kind of a narrative deal and they're in, they're out, versus a deposition, or even today, which is question and break down your answer and question? It was just kind of a walk us through it, right?
Both times, before they filmed and after they started filming.
We're talking about when the police were there, correct? Now, you're not on Zoom, of course.
No. When the detective showed up, they
Make
came
sure
to
we're
my
talking about the
store.
same thing. Now, the idea about, were you asked anything specifically about your knowledge of the gun by these detectives? Did they get into the gun? Do you remember?
I don't remember, sir, no.
Did you assume that these detectives knew that a gun was involved?
Yes, sir.
You didn't think that your sister shot him with a...
I'm thinking that the reason that they're putting any focus on the gun is because he brought it up on the stand when he was being questioned by the defense. So he's the one that brought up the gun. And the DA is like, where does it say that anywhere in these, deposition or second, or when the detectives interviewed you? I'm thinking, now I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that's why this big to do about the gun comments, as they want to joke and have fun about it. It's really funny, isn't it, dude?
Water pistol or...
I'm going to object for leading again at this point.
Sustained.
Did you think the gun was all that important? I know that sounds strange in this kind of a case, but did you assume that the police knew about the gun?
I don't know how they couldn't have.
Now, earlier, just to clear up, you talked about that you were asked, how long was it physical? And you said 5 minutes. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Is it your testimony that you perceived that it was physical for 5 minutes, or it was physical intermittent in the yelling and the sounds you're hearing, that you're perceiving physical going on? You understand my question?
Yes, and I don't know if it was my phrasing. Physical could be someone throwing something or something falling or breaking. So it wasn't just 5 minutes of unadulterated one human being being hit. It was 5 minutes of items like bangs and pops and things like that, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can this witness step down and be excused?
He wasn't under subpoena, but yes, sir, you can.
Okay. All right, sir, you may step down. You're now excused.
Thank you, sir. Could you stay here?
Mr. Alderman, do you need to get the...
Yes, I'll go.
Okay.
Well, it's not being excused because it is important, so because he can stay in court with that.
Is any objection to that, Mr. Alderman? Okay. All right, y'all approach, please.
Okay, give me just a minute because what they did, And I don't think I'm gonna put, hold on, I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so the deal is the judge sent the jury out on break, and they took a break, and then they came back, and the judge asked who would be the next witness, in which the defense said Bree Kuhn. And as the judge started, you know, I forget what the thing is that they have to do with them, but they've got a colloquy, I believe it is. So he has to do that with her. Well, she decides once she hears that the judge has to tell the jurors that they cannot hold it against her if she does not testify. And when she heard that, then we started having some conversations. So, the problem is that she is trying to use self-defense or battered spouse syndrome. They're in Florida. We just saw this with Sarah Boone. However, this case actually was before Sarah's, if I'm not mistaken. So, it leaves a lot of, I don't know, just kind of, anyway. So I'm going to come in to where when the judge is now talking about, um, he's doing another colloquy, another colloquy. And these, if you don't hear her very well, it's because the microphones at their bequest, uh, th- their request, um, are not at their tables because they didn't like having to push the button in order to know no one could hear them. It's like, oh my god. So let's go to there.
We come back tomorrow, obviously either way. Is Dr. Harper going to be coming with? Right now, I don't know. Maybe you do if my client doesn't testify. She understands that risk to the extent it's a risk.
Okay. So I reviewed the case law while we were out. And again, as I stated before the bench, I reviewed some case law even before the trial started, believing these issues may arise. So right now in the state of Florida, we have a split among the District Court of Appeals on whether or not PTSD testimony is admissible to establish self-defense. In the Mizell case, which is the first DCA, the first DCA said it could be admissible. We have the Okendo case, which is from the second DCA, says it's not admissible. There was another DCA maybe 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember if it was the fourth or the sixth DCA, agreed with Okendo. And I don't know if that opinion is technically final. I saw that. So I think this has been within the last 2 weeks. But here is what I also take out of the Mizell case of the first DCA, is that what happened in that case is the state wanted to preclude PTSD testimony. And what the trial judge did in that case is said, no, as long as these parameters are met, it could be admissible. The state appealed. And what the DCA said was that it could be admissible. And the DCA had no issues with the parameters that the trial judge gave. One of the parameters was that the trial judge said, in order to present PTSD, the defendant had to testify, because it's got to be the defendant that lays that predicate. Otherwise, you could have an expert witness be a conduit to inadmissible hearsay.
I don't know if you're inviting argument right now or you're giving me an advisory, which I absolutely appreciate. I would say this, though, either way, Dr. Harper would come in tomorrow and I would proffer in all likelihood, if he would allow that. No, I'm grateful for your.
What I'm saying is if based on Okendo, I don't think the PTSD comes in. Okay. Now, I understand the first DCA said otherwise. I think I personally agree with Okendo and the rationale. But even if it could come in under the first DCA case, it appears that a defendant has to testify before an expert can come in and render such opinions.
I understand that logic with regard to hearsay. However, if the doctor bases that opinion on, for instance, the video interrogation, this lady obviously has PTSD, let me tell you why. It's far-fetched. But if she gives an opinion without using hearsay, then.
Well, then we run into the issue of what is the state going to be able to do for rebuttal? I mean, can the state's experts render such an opinion to say perhaps she's not, she's not suffering from PTSD? And then we have the issue of with battered spouse syndrome, notice has to be given, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, which was, as you know.
Yeah, no, and it was in this case, but there's been no notice of PTSD in this case.
I can comment on that if
Sure.
so. One of the issues I had, and we kind of went back and forth several times, was that I never got anything in writing from Dr. Harper in terms of a report of her, findings, what she looked at, conclusions. And so, we did a deposition, which 2 days, when, I tried to cover as much possible ground as, and at the end, I asked her conclusions, and I'm looking through the deposition again, and in her conclusions, she never told me that she had diagnosed it with PTSD, because obviously I didn't specifically ask that because we were there for battered spouse syndrome. So I don't know if that's something Dr. Harper would then get on the stand and testify, but that has never come up before, and that, like I said, that was never a part of the, I don't know if it was a 6 or 7 hour deposition total. The state has, as I sit here now, 3 days into the trial, I have no knowledge that she's been diagnosed with PTSD.
And I don't know if I'm going to call Harper. There's a likelihood that I'm not anyway. I think we're going to do the same things here in a minute, and come in tomorrow and came on. I'll let you know if I plan to call her. To the extent you care, I can let you know. But
well, because it also means if she were to testify, she would be getting into statements that the defendant made to her without the state being able to cross-examine. Basically she's going to be testifying to what would be otherwise inadmissible hearsay in some respect. Now, some of the stuff we've already seen, it's already come into evidence, but that's also a concern that, again, it becomes a backdoor way to get into evidence from the defendant without the ability to cross-examine, because the state's not going to be able to cross-examine the truth of what Ms. Kuhn told the expert. So
are you ruling?
I'm ruling right now, unless you come in tomorrow with some really, really good solid case law. I'm saying that if she doesn't testify, I don't believe I can have the expert opinion, any expert opinion, an expert testimony come in.
I appreciate the advisory ruling because I think it could be important for my client's decision. However, I haven't even called her or asked her anything at this stage, so I'm not being disrespectful to you. But
I'm just trying to interpret the case law.
I get it. I appreciate it. So let's do our thing. And
okay.
You said what you said, and I know where I am, what I have to do.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Kuhn, I previously placed you under oath. You're still under oath. Okay. All right. And I just want to have a clear record of everything. First of all, do you understand that the decision to testify or not to testify is your decision? It's not a decision your attorneys make for you. It is your decision. Do you understand that? Okay. But do you understand that if you want to, you can go on the witness stand and testify and answer questions from your attorneys and then be cross-examined by the state? Do you understand that? Do you also understand you have the right not to testify and that I would give the jury the instruction that's required if a defendant does not testify? Do you understand that?
Okay, I think that I reminded y'all that the reason she's hard to hear is because they don't have a microphone on their table. They didn't like having to push the button to be able to speak to their client without someone hearing. I mean, everybody else does it in every other courtroom, but okay.
Understand if you did testify, there's an instruction that says the defendant in this case has become a witness. You should apply the same rules to consideration of her testimony that you apply to the testimony of the other witnesses. So what I'm saying is there's an instruction I have to give the jury if you do testify. There's an instruction I have to give to the jury if you do not testify. Do you understand that? Have you had sufficient time to talk to your attorneys about this decision? Have your attorneys explained to you the pros and cons about not testifying?
Yes.
Have they explained to you the pros and cons about testifying?
Yes.
Have they now answered all your questions about this decision?
Yes, sir.
Is anybody forcing you not to testify?
No.
Anybody made any threats to you to get to you not to testify?
No.
I'm sorry. Some of these questions seem strange, but they're questions I have to go through.
Yes, sir.
Is it your decision not to testify in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody promised you a certain outcome if you did or did not testify?
No.
And you understand this is your decision not to testify,
Yes, sir.
and that's what you want to do. Okay. All right. Any questions from Mr. Barnes or Mr. Etheridge on this that I have not covered?
None, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to find her decision not to testify has been done freely, voluntarily, and she understands that decision. And so she will not be taking the stand. So that leaves us where we go from today. And I think as we previously discussed, all the attorneys believe now would be an appropriate time to recess for the day. Mr. Alderman? Or,
Yes, I mean, my only concern is, depending on how the defense proceeds or the court's rulings is, the timeframe. So, because and as planned.
Okay, so I don't think that I showed where the first colloquy she was saying yes, she was going to testify. She changed her mind when she found out the judge could give that statement and that it can't be held against her. But I don't think she understands that this now means that her psychologist or whoever they had possibly going to testify would not be able to testify now. So there's that. The judge is going to bring in the jury. He's going to send them home. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about any other discussion. So I will be back with, I believe it's closing arguments and then wait for the jury verdict. So we're almost done, guys. I've almost done it. I don't know that I'll do this again. 'Cause sitting here, yeah, I need a little more interaction. So here we go.